And live. Sup everyone, this is Vitamin G Podcast episode 177. I'm your host, Karaba or Omar, and yeah, before we start, I need to make sure that, oh, wow. No, never mind. I need to make sure that we all sound well. No, never mind. I need to make sure that we all sound well. No, never mind. I need to make sure that we all sound well. No, never mind. I need to make sure that we first all sound what you call it? My fan. What you call it?
You're good.
My fan. My fan. Uh, was noticeable. Now, Zero, say something. Was
Something.
noticeable. Now, Zero, say something. Was
Something.
noticeable.
Something.
Now, Zero, say something.
Hey, yo.
Was
Something.
Now, Zero, say something.
Hey, yo.
Yeah, yeah, you guys are on point. A little bit low, but that's just me. Yeah, you guys are on point. Am way louder than all of you. A little bit low, but that's just me. Yeah, you guys are on point. I am way louder than all of you. A little bit low, but that's just me. Yeah, you guys are on point. I am way louder than all of you. Okay, so I had to make sure. I am. So yeah, this is episode 177, and we've got a lot to discuss. But before we do so, let me introduce our panel members. Mr. Xbox himself, Pharaoh. How are you, man, and what you been playing?
Mr. Xbox? Let's see. I played a couple times today. I had to play some indie medieval game where I had to like a medieval killing zombies game. Can't remember what the name it was. Played that for like an hour, 2 hours. I played Signalis last week. That was pretty interesting. Um, and that's about it on the new. Oh, they're back. Oh, for an axe. I played that today for like an hour, and that's about it. A little Minecraft dungeons. That's about it.
Gotcha. And Mr. Nintendo himself, Zero. How are you, man, and what you been playing?
I am doing absolutely well. Pretty much just been playing Dialfield Chronicles. It's an okay little game. It is not at all what I expected it to be. It is a real-time strategy when I definitely thought it was just a basic strategy.
You never played the demo, huh?
No.
That explains
I
it.
don't play a lot of demos, and honestly, I just don't play a lot of demos. Period. I beat Far Cry 3, so that's done.
What's your thoughts on it?
It's fine. The only thing that struck me different was I guess his name is Vaz, who's like the cover character.
Yeah.
Is not the main guy.
Dude.
And I was like, oh, that's surprising. Like,
yeah. You have no idea how much they fumbled the bag with this one.
So I was like, interesting. But it was cool. Like it's fine. I think I'm hoping they get a little better. I'm far more intrigued by Far Cry 5. That's the one with the evil church guy, I think. That's the one I sort of really want to play, but I figured I'd walk through at least 3, 4, and 5 to get there. Otherwise, I'm playing some Overwatch. It's fine. I hate to say it, I kind of miss loot boxes in Overwatch because I have no real way.
You're not the only one.
Yeah,
so can you explain them what's going on? Because I read an article that said the exact same thing. So what's happening?
So the idea behind, it's a free-to-play game, and with all these free-to-play games, the real hook of it all is like the various skins, emotes, sound lines, sprays, dances you can get. Back in Overwatch 1, you get them randomly. Like after each leveling up, you get a loot box and you open it. and it will give you anything. Like, it could be a legendary skin, it could be a common skin. And of course, loot boxes got into a whole big thing because it's gambling and it let people to pay for it and all this other type of stuff. So they dropped loot boxes completely. Now everything has to be earned through the battle pass, which means you have to pay to earn all of the premium stuff, which isn't surprising really, but part of Overwatch is just sort of getting the fun costumes, and it's just fun to have them be random. I don't understand why. No, I understand they want money, but I feel like a wonderful middle ground could have just been loot boxes with no ability to buy the loot boxes, because that's what they got in trouble for. Like, when you're buying things and aren't classifying it as gambling, or you aren't sharing the rates of what certain items can get, people are going to be upset. But just as a free-to-pay player, just regularly leveling up was always awesome because I never knew what I was going to get. And now that's stuck. Like, the skins that I have in Overwatch 2, unless they give me more, I'm not getting anymore because I'm not paying $20 for a Mercy skin or $20 for a Winston skin. I'm not doing it. So everybody's just stuck with especially if you're new to the game, you're for the most part probably going to be stuck with default skins for the most of it. There's some in the battle pass, but they're just like different colors for the most part. So bring back loot boxes. Again, I don't understand how Apex seems to be doing just fine with all of this. Maybe I'm not too well versed in the Apex community. But they have like loot boxes and they seem to be doing just fine.
Gotcha. And Mr. PC himself, well, PC and Xbox. Jube, how are you, man, and what you been playing? Gotcha. As for me, I got the platinum in Diofield. Fun little game. I put it aside because I played a Tale Plague Requiem, which I recommend, but I don't recommend when it comes to platinum it or get it at 100% achievement, because it's so fucking convoluted. In order to do so, you must play the game on easy mode the first playthrough. Otherwise, you need to play the game 3 times to get the to get all the, because basically if you play the game on normal, they give you 8 knives. If you play game on hard, they give you 6 knives, if I remember correctly. If you play the game on easy, they give you around 11 knives, if I remember correctly, and you need 10 knives to open every single secret chest hidden in the area. And
that's annoying.
Yeah, beyond annoying. Even if you play at your back, which basically you can use knife to one hit KO an enemy, which I don't recommend because you want to use your knife for for the loot chest. Even if you don't one hit any single enemy and you use all your knife for loot chest, you're gonna still be short of knife. Because here's the thing, on the way, when you use one knife, if you don't use it, if you see a second knife and you don't have a plate for it, you're gonna not be able to pick it up unless you use that knife. Or if you already invested into upgrade to get more knife, to be able to equip more knife. So again, very convoluted and fucked up. And real talk, that's not even the worst. The worst mechanic in the game is something called perk. What is perk? Perk is basically you have 3 options. You can either do stealth, so basically kill as few people as possible. By doing so, your stealth mechanic what you call it, you get XP for it. You have, let me call it alchemy, where basically you need to use a lot of alchemy in your run, and then you get XP. And then they have the third option, which is basically you need to kill between 50 and 80 percent of enemies in one encounter to get such XP. And the problem is that such a trial and error type of situation, it's infuriating on so many ways. Again, when it comes to play the game, it's an amazing game. I enjoy it. I find it a hidden gem. But when it comes to Platinum, one of the worst game I've ever played with that system. So I beat that. I beat a game called Ocean Horn. Anyone heard of it?
Never once.
Okay, so it's for the lack of better term, you can kind of call it an Zelda clone in a way, because it does everything how a Zelda does it. How you pick up item, how you can only have certain item, how you yeah, basically it's a Zelda clone, you can call it. It's a fun little game. It's for $3 right now on PlayStation. If people are interested in it, I recommend it. There's also a second one, but it's yet to be released on console. Ocean Horn is also on mobile devices, so kind of like the Pathless, how it was released on consoles and mobile. Well, Ocean Horn is the same. And Ocean Horn 2 is on mobile as well. And the final game I'm playing right now. So basically, after beating Diofield, with God of War being on the road, I didn't want to invest in a big game. So after beating Diofield, Ocean Horn, and the others, I started Uncharted. What we call it, the Legacy Collection, basically Uncharted 4 on PlayStation 5. And yeah, the second the music hit, I'm in for a treat. Despite the fact that I already beat the game, I'm still having a blast with this one. I am actually might go for the platinum with this one only because there is no online trophies, so I can take my time with this one. But that's going to be absolutely after I beat God of War and then Sonic and then some other game. So Uncharted is just what you call it a temporary game until Sonic unlocked for me, which after we finish the podcast it should have unlocked, and then I will give it a go. And that's about it. Jubei, how are you, man? And what you been playing?
Um, hey everybody. I've been playing a fuck ton of Modern Warfare 2. That has been my thing lately. I still need to finish God of War before Wednesday. Um,
Wait, you never
so
finished it?
shut shut your mouth. I haven't gotten around to finishing it.
Mm-hmm.
I will finish it.
I got super sick this weekend, so I was supposed to stream it Friday and Saturday. Did not happen. Um, so I'm gonna be cracking on that tonight. I mean, I'm not far from the end. I'm almost done. But
Are you planning on doing every single Valkyrie or no?
fuck no, I can go back and do that. I'm just trying to get through the story so that I can play Ragnarok on Wednesday
And
when I get
okay,
off work.
so then make sure after you finish the game to look
Hmm.
up the ending of the final Valkyrie, because it has some additional information for the story
Okay,
content wise.
I'll check that out. But yeah, nothing too crazy. Like I said, a lot of Call of Duty. It's actually pretty damn good. Surprised. But yeah, we'll see how Ragnarok is when Wednesday rolls around.
I mean, let's start our first topic. I'm gonna do a few quick topics, uh, kind of like a rush segment, very quick. So, from Kotaku, Activision CEO Bobby Kotick donated $50,000 to Republican who protested 2020 election result and pursued dra- draconian corrupt to women reproductive health and freedom. Just how worse can this human of filth be? Can it get even worse?
I think so. I think it can.
You
You gotta
think it
think. You
can?
gotta look at
I'm
things.
not really gonna do
Yeah,
the political thing. He's entitled to whatever he believes in.
Yeah,
As long
I
as he
mean,
gives up the video game industry
Give me a second, you're
once
low.
once this Activision deal goes through, you know, that'll be
yeah.
that's all we need.
Unfortunately, rich white
we're
dudes donating to the
we're
causes of
dealing with
other rich
evil,
white
bro.
dudes.
This is what happens when you deal with fucking evil. That's exactly what we're
Mm-hmm.
doing.
So there's that. Nintendo is doing an indie event, if I remember correctly. When do they doing that? Give me a second to look it up.
It's supposed to be sometime this week, I think.
Yeah, it's this week, but I want to know the exact same day. If I remember correctly, it's on Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
Is it Wednesday or
Yeah, it's Wednesday.
Wednesday the 9th.
I'm looking it up right now? Don't have it. Okay, so yeah, they're doing an event. Any prediction for it?
I couldn't possibly give one just because. Well, I mean, I would certainly love if Hollow Knight Silk Song is part of that, but I don't know if that's going to be there. Um, it's an indie
Don't
direct,
we
so I
already
have
have a
no clue.
release date for that or not yet?
No, they've not. They've mentioned it,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't have a release date for it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Nintendo tune in on November 9 at 9 a.m. PT for a new Indie World Showcase, featuring roughly 25 minutes of information on upcoming indie titles headed to Nintendo Switch. So there is that. That I am absolutely gonna tune in because one, I think this week or maybe next week, hopefully, I will get my Switch. So I'm super excited for that. Um,
Are you copping Pokemon though?
yeah,
Is that gonna be a thing?
yeah, because that's one of the games that have been on my bucket list. We should
Mm-hmm.
basically Pokemon on big screen on
Yeah.
console. I am dying to experience that. I know for a fact Sword and Shield is not it, so I'm hoping with this one it's gonna be it. Only
I
time
mean,
will tell.
I recommend Arceus. Arceus is pretty
Arceus is
solid.
really good. Yeah.
Arceus is on my radar. I will
Mm,
play it when in due time.
yeah.
Um,
Also, like, and I think it's just it doesn't fall by the wayside a lot, but like Mario Rabbids, I haven't played the second one, but I played the first one. Such a good game. Like a solid strategy game.
mhm. Okay, another quick topic. Oculus CEO founder has created a new VR headset embedded with explosive charges that will literally kill you should you die in a video game.
Fun.
That
How in the fuck is that legal? Like,
I I swear I thought that's a joke at first.
It's just like that guy who made the flamethrower. Like, it's not technically illegal unless you blow someone else up with it. Although I guess theoretically he's making a bomb, so that feels bad.
Okay, so I'm not gonna read the entire blog, but I don't know. Look it up yourself, and yeah, good luck if you ever gonna play it. And I think that's about it. Let's start with the topic. First of all, Zero, can you pull up Yoshi P tone deaf comment or statement, please?
Sure thing. Give me a second.
Oh
Please
yeah,
hurry
in
up.
case people wondering, one, Dante is not here because he have COVID, so wish him a
Yeah,
speedy
he was out there
recovery.
licking doorknobs. Tell him stop licking doorknobs too.
And Kofi is, coffeeing. Am I the only one that haven't have COVID yet? Knocking on wood.
I don't think I've had it. If I have, I've been symptomless. I've been asymptomatic, so I haven't had it.
Oh
Lucky
yeah.
you.
At least for me.
Can you find it Zero or?
I said, where'd you put it at?
Oh, vitamin G shot on Discord.
Gotcha. Oh boy, that is a long thing, but I got it. Ooh. All right.
Yeah.
I have it. I will try to run through this as quickly as possible. So this seems to come from an article between IGN, or a conversation between IGN. I apologize, I do not have the author. And Yoshi P, famous designer of Final Fantasy 16, and Final Fantasy 14. Has he done any other? Did he do 15?
No.
14 and 16 are just his.
Yeah, 14,
Um,
16 and a Dragon Quest game.
Gotcha.
Some obscure Dragon Quest game.
Okay. So the article reads as this from IGN. In regards to diversity in the game, can we expect to see black characters in Final Fantasy 16 or people of color, non-white characters in general? To clarify a bit more, there's been a discussion around the trailers to date featuring mostly white characters, and I wanted to get clarity on whether we can expect the final game to be more diverse. From Yoshi P, this is a difficult question, but not one that was unexpected, seeing as diversity in entertainment media has become a much discussed topic as of late. The answer I have, however, may end up being disappointing to some depending on individual expectations. Our design concept from the earliest stages of development have always featured medieval Europe incorporating historical, cultural, political, and anthropological standards that were prevalent at the time. When deciding on a setting that was best suited to the story we wanted to tell, the story of a land beset by blight, we felt that rather than create something on a global scale, it was necessary to limit the scope to a single landmass, one geographically and culturally isolated from the rest of the world in an age without airplanes, televisions, or telephones. I'm gonna skip around a bit because this is a long article. Um, Due to the underlying geographical, technological constraints of the setting, I don't know how to pronounce this name. Valistea was never going to realistically be as diverse as, say, modern day Earth or even Final Fantasy 15. The isolated nature of this realm, however, does end up playing a large part in the story and is one of the reasons Valistea's fate is tied to the rest of the world. Ultimately, we felt that while incorporating ethnic diversity into this place, I cannot keep saying this name, sorry, was important, and over incorporation into this single corner of a much larger world could end up causing a violation of those narrative boundaries we originally set for ourselves. The story we are telling is fantasy, yes, but also it is rooted in reality. Uh, Conversely, the Final Fantasy series games have always been inherently dealt with conflict and struggle, especially between the empowered and those used and or exploited by those privileged few, a prominent trend in human history. in a game that by design allows players to experience the conflict and struggles firsthand through dynamic, realistic battles. It can be challenging to assign distinctive ethnicities to either antagonists or protagonists without triggering audience preconceptions. The best part of pulling inspiration directly from history, however, is that it allows us to revisit and re-examine our own past while allowing us to create something new. In the end, we simply wanted to focus to be less on the outward appearance of our characters and more on who they are as people. People who are complex and diverse in their natures, backgrounds, beliefs, personalities, blah, blah, blah. There's diversity in Valistea, diversity that, while not all-encompassing, is synergistic with the setting we've created and is true to the inspiration for which we are drawn. Feels like a very long-winded way to just say, like, we just didn't think or care about putting people of color in the game.
Yep.
Um,
So he is getting destroyed on Twitter for the right reason. The question is, was this a gotcha question?
I wouldn't say gotcha. It's a fair question to ask.
Clearly
However,
he was prepared, not prepared, but he anticipated it.
Yes. So that, to me, that's why it's a fair question to ask. People are aware of it. There is no perfect answer to give. What I don't particularly care for in his statements is just that it is always exhausting when people pick and choose what parts of reality they want to lean on.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, in this game, as far as we can tell, we've from the trailer, giant monstrosities: Phoenix, Titan, Rama, Odin, Shiva, Alexander, who's just literally a big dumbass castle. Just a person who doesn't look white is a bridge too far in quote unquote medieval Europe, where like you're drawing your inspiration from, but like what part of medieval Europe are specifically you drawing your inspiration from? Is
Yeah.
it just like the setting? Because that seems to be it. It would be like I'm drawing my inspiration from 1960s New York, and the only thing I have there is just that I'm in a city. I was like, well, that could be any city. You could be literally anywhere in the world. So what's the? And listen, they don't have to put people of color in that game. I usually don't expect Japanese developers to do so. I just don't think they think that far. As far as race relations in the West, although it might be smart that they do, considering like the West is a major purchaser of their products. But it just feels easier if they were to say it's just not something we had thought of when creating the story, other than making this whole big long-winded like around the bend answer regarding like why your fantasy world in which people turn into fiery birds can't have people who just look a different skin color. And I'll never understand things like that because you don't have to go too deep into the lore of the world. Like it's just some guy just looks different, and like that's it. Because I bet they'll probably have a good amount of women in power, which if you date back to a bit more medieval times, not a lot of them. So it's a weird thing. I don't care for it. I'm not blaming them.
You're
I'm just simply
indifferent.
saying, no, I just think he gave a poor answer. I would like to see developers incorporate all levels of diversity across the board when it comes to video game development, just because like it's cool to just see different things. And partially because sometimes I feel like I got it, and I might be reading too much into what he's saying, but part of it also felt like he was saying like the default were white people. Like to not think of anything else is to default to something very specific. And I was like, well, they don't have to be. I mean, they just don't have to be. Like there's nothing making these people be any specific color. Like there's literally nothing required of this. No, I don't think anyone's coming into Final Fantasy and being like, wow, like it's not like how people were upset with Lord of the Rings and all this other type of stuff. Like if a black guy showed up in Final Fantasy, I don't think anybody would even think twice about it. Or, you know, a Native American person or a Hispanic person or any
Blue.
sort of different race. Yeah, blue. It literally wouldn't matter, right? Like
the dude in Final Fantasy X.
yeah,
You got a blue guy in Final Fantasy X. You got a blue guy in Final Fantasy IX. Like
yeah, like no one's at, you know, it.
you got
No
a
one's
black
expecting
bunny lady. Final Fantasy 12 is like a medieval theme game. Got a black
exactly.
character in there.
Yeah, and you're right. It's a bunny girl. So like, are bunny girls real? Final Fantasy 14 is damn near medieval, and they have all types of bunny people and cat people. I was like, just say you didn't think about it. Like, don't try to make a weird excuse about it. Just say you didn't think about it, and that's fine because like that takes time and like learning all of that. Everything else is just fluff, and like, I don't know. I just don't need you to like try to trick me into something that, you know, what like, you know, don't piss on me and tell me it's raining. Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to do all that. Like just let it go. And especially if you expected this question, you probably should have had a better answer.
Jube,
Yo, what's up?
what's your thought?
I kind of see it like it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like it sucks. It sucks to hear verbalized, but it's like I guess in the grand scheme of Final Fantasy, like generally speaking, we're not really a big part of that narrative. Like we're there, but we're not really there. You know, a lot of us have been relegated to side characters a lot of that time. So I don't like the excuse like it's just the whole wording like oh we're going for like realism. It doesn't make much sense. I don't really have words to really describe how I feel about it. Just it's like wow. Don't know if racist or tone deaf or whatever you may call it. Like I'm pretty sure their intentions are in the right place, but that was just not a very well worded response. To what we were talking about. It kind of sucks.
Ali Panda says Fable always had just white people. Is that true?
Yeah,
I
Fable
can't really think about
Fable
it.
One,
Like I
Fable
don't
One was
think that much
definitely all white
into it.
folks.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he's right. I mean, I just never thought about it. Like, I don't. Me personally, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it's just poorly worded or maybe poorly translated. I don't know if he.
Yeah, too. I forgot there's a translation, isn't there?
Yeah.
So, like
I
different
really.
words, like sometimes the translation isn't always
Yeah.
a one for
Remember
one.
when.
Sometimes they give you what he said, but they don't give you the context, in which he meant it. But I mean,
Remember when the for
I mean,
Kojima was.
this is the same company who in the same year is releasing a game with a black
Mm-hmm.
lead. So I don't want to
Uh,
say that I don't want to call it racism per se. I just think he wasn't prepared for the question. Honestly, even though he was like, "Oh yeah, that's a fair question," I don't think he was prepared for that fair question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it couldn't
I
have
think it
been.
just kind of came off of him.
Yeah. And speaking of Forspoken, because I see a lot of people like talk about it, and I was like, well, they got a black girl in there. I was like, yes, but when asking the question, it doesn't have to be like regulated to like points. And I think that's how people keep seeing, because whenever like people love to bring up Barrett, even though like he's from 1997. Yes, there's a remake of the game with him in there,
And he's
but like
also
he's
a
always
stereotype of Mr.
and yeah,
T.
original Barrett's not great, and he's better in the Japanese version. But American Barrett is basically just Mr. T with a gun on his hand, which is
Yeah.
like cool. That's fine, like not a problem. But like then there's what's his name? Is it Zaz? The loving father
Says.
from
Yeah,
yeah, like
says.
he's dope. Yeah, like he's cool, and his son is all right. He's kind of annoying, but he's fine.
Is Waka white or.
Waka's
No, he's
probably
I consider him like Islander. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
like
Like
Pacific Islander or something.
Mm-hmm.
he's
Um,
he's of the
which
he's of the brown skin. I wouldn't
yeah,
call him black, but
and,
he's melanated.
and see, Waka's a perfect example of like, I mean, yes, a lot there are a lot of black people, so there's certainly a lot of black people asking for more black people, but like sometimes we're just asking for people who don't look like white people, and
Hmm.
like Waka's, you know, he's inoffensive enough, he's cool enough, like he comes off quite well, and a pretty fan beloved character as far as like everybody, as far as I can tell.
Oh yeah,
So like
Waka
you
is
can
below.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do stuff like that. And listen, I know who are making these games, but it still seems to exist on this weird point system because like I think the developers of Forspoken came out and were like, yeah, look, we got this black woman in here. Fine, absolutely great to have it. But if I remember correctly, the picture of these developers, pretty much all white men making the game here. So I'm like, hmm, are you gonna mess this up? Or did you just want like diversity points? And I don't think that's what people are asking for when like we just want to see different stuff. And I think it's just we need to move away from this point total narrative where we're just counting people on our hand about like, oh well, we gave you Barrett and Chick from Forspoken, so you should be good for like 2 years now, right? Like you can just hold on to them for 2 years. Meanwhile, like every other day, there's a game with just a white dude, and more often than not, just like some European white dude. So like, what about even if you're going to change that up? There are white people in Sweden, Norway, all host all across the globe that like have their own unique cultures and specificities and things they're going to. But we always seem to default right back to let me go to medieval Europe, and we can't change anything in medieval Europe, even though we can put machines in there and giant monsters. Like it's just exhausting and annoying. Like it would be much better if people were just to flat out say like we just didn't think about it or we didn't want to do it. Or we just think it sells well when we sell to like a specific group of people.
Absolutely, because like you said, like you can have Ifrit and fucking dragons and fucking
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of shit, all sorts of shit, but we
Remind
can't we
me
can't
which
have
type
we
of
can't have a couple of shades darker.
remind me which type of Middle East have magic, cause I didn't get that memo.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all fantasy, you know what I'm saying? Like the whole medieval thing with like knights and dragons and all that shit. Like that's what they're trying to say. But even fucking D&D has fucking diversity. You know what I'm saying? Like you can be whatever the fuck you want to be in D&D. Like, if I want to be a bird person, I can be any color fucking bird person I want to be.
And
Like,
what's
there's no
interesting
rules
about
for
this
that.
one, I think out because 15 and maybe it was the start of 15 doing this. I'm trying to think of all the Final Fantasies just very quickly through my head. Majority of the at least in most of the Final Fantasies, there's at least who is not strictly human.
Yep.
Be it Red
Kamari,
13,
Kamari
Kilmari,
in 10.
Freya, um, Quina, or Vivi if you want to count him. Um, who's in 13 is a bunch of humans.
I
So
mean,
maybe
eight's
13.
also a bunch of humans too, but
So maybe it's 8. Well, yeah, 8, 13, 15, and 16.
yeah. I mean,
Uh,
hell, even fucking. I mean, I consider the Albed also melanated
yeah,
people, and
yeah,
like again, like it tells me you can do it. You know what I mean? You
yeah. It's
just
like it's
choose
not a
not
hard
to.
thing to do, and like you can do it. You just I actually really don't think it's malicious. I think the like racist words
Like,
gets thrown around a lot.
yeah, I just think they didn't think about it.
Yeah,
Honestly, like that's it.
Okay, so as for me, I disagree with you, Zero. What I mean by that is I do believe there is a racial undertone, whether people do it on purpose or whether it's kind of like how it's systemic, kind of how the systemic racism in America, kind of like that. Cause this is, mind you, this is not a Square Enix issue only. This is a Japan issue. Cause most Japanese games don't have black people or any other type of people in general, aside from, white. And
It's true.
here is the thing, and again, Zero said it right. Don't add people for the sake of adding people, which is what companies do. If you want to add people, make it make it make sense, but also make it count. Be
Right.
proud
You don't want
about.
to just be pandering just to be pandering.
Yeah,
I get it.
precisely. No one is asking to be pandered for, but you're not gonna, it's almost like there was no black people in the Middle East, what we call it, period. Like, again,
Yeah, which there were. Yeah.
how can he be so tone deaf? And that's the biggest issue. Which again,
And I agree. Yeah.
it comes down to, I'm pretty sure he didn't think about it. Because again, the priority is white people, which again boggles my mind. But uh, your audience are Japanese people, but also the rest of the world. So, and here it would make it even crazier. Square Enix is literally releasing one with the main character itself is black, but that is more developed by either developed or is taken care of by a Western viewpoint. When you have word sentences such as "Is that a motherfucking dragon?" Yeah, precisely. I'm super excited for Spoken, but I'm not gonna pretend like that game is an isekai game. Yeah, the premise is isekai, but the main character is absolutely Western. So there is that, and then you have in Valkyrie Elysium, you have one of the main character is her name is Hilda, and she is black, and she is portrayed great, and it has nothing to do with the skin color. She is just a great character.
Yep.
So
And that's the thing, right? Like, no one's complaining about the black Valkyrie in Valkyrie Elysium because, like, and you're saying it right, Omar. It's like they don't necessarily, because Forspoken is going to run into a lot of problems. I already know.
what do you mean?
Because because the Forspoken, the devs like made it a point to highlight the fact that, look, guys, we got like a black woman in our lead game. Like, aren't we great? Which is fine, but now you run the problem of, so do you know any black women? And part of that is, Forspoken seems to be a very character driven like story. So like, is that a motherfucking dragon, is going to be like a big, like, talky, very chatty, very interesting. And there's this very fine line to walk between, are you making a character that black, not all, let's say Western black people recognize, or are you just making a character who is black? Both are right, but depending on what situation you put them in, you can get into a lot of trouble. Omar, for example, Hilda is a black Valkyrie, not a problem. She just happens to be a black Valkyrie. No one thinks. Waka is probably a Pacific Islander dude in Final Fantasy, not a problem. Forspoken seems to like want us to recognize that she's black, as opposed to just like, here she is. So now people are going to ask, okay, well, how black is she?
Yeah, how you gonna
And
act?
yeah, and like it's a little bit right, that's a little bit wrong, but if you're
But it's
saying we
true.
put
You
a
know that
yeah,
there's levels to blackness. You know,
Jimmy, I figure yes,
we suffer from colorism, you know, ourselves. You know what I'm saying? The
Oh
whole
exactly,
yeah.
light skin, dark skin thing. Like
exactly.
it's a thing.
Yeah,
Totally
and
a
even
thing.
on base level, all cultures like are something, right? Like if they put an Asian, if it was an Asian woman, if it was a Pacific Islander woman, Native American woman, like people are going to be like, all right, so you you talk to any people who look like her, or you just slapped the you know color on her and moved on. It's why even though they got some backlash, but at least they seem to have tried. When Sucker Punch did Ghost of Tsushima, it very least seemed like they did their homework to
Yeah.
understand the culture, right?
Not
Yep.
not only them. What you call it? There was a video circulating for Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, and it was the top. It was a a TikTok or Twitch reacting to the one of the side character in the game is actually deaf,
Yes.
and she is communicating with Miles in sign language, and Miles communicate back in sign language, and the reactors said something that is so key. One, he was perplexed that there were about a deaf character in the game, so that's a good representation. Second, he was even more perplexed when he saw that Miles was uh, doing sign language as well. And then he said something, I'm pretty sure this is done by deaf person. So I don't know if that's the case, but that's
But
how
it's
you know
something
it's a
that
good representation because you have a
yes,
deaf person understanding what's happening.
yes, that's they see them as like, oh, they clearly spoke to someone who is deaf
Yeah,
or has someone because I'm not part of that culture, but those who are like, no, they understand. The moment you see it, you know. And I think that's for every culture. It just for some reason everybody default and everybody tends to always default to like European white because I guarantee you, Italians aren't exact. An Italian will recognize their culture on screen, like instantly. They will get it. They'll recognize it at Polish, Scottish. They will immediately recognize. And if you actually do the like work and study about their cultures and understand the, like whatever their grandmothers made for them, things like that, immediately, as opposed to, and it wouldn't just be another white person. It would be a culture that is represented based on it. It very like who someone could make in it as part of the culture, which that's usually what it comes down to. If you just have somebody in the room who is like a part of that culture, it'll probably be a lot easier for you. Like, I'm just saying, it'll probably be a lot easier for you because for the life of me, if I picked out Final Fantasy outside of the actual setting, I wouldn't say any of these people are representative of like European culture. They're just
Yeah,
white
that's
people in
true.
Europe. Yeah.
They're very androgynous. Like they're just pale skinned folks. Like I mean, they could be
this
not necessarily European. Like they don't
Ex-
have like European features. Like I'm not
yeah.
seeing European noses on these
Yeah.
people. You know what I mean? Like it's weird. Like,
I really
this
wish
information does not make sense.
I really wish Kofi was here because I genuinely wanted to know what's going on. But yeah, but we can at least all of us here acknowledge that this is not a Square Enix issue. This is a Japan issue in general. It's just one of the developers at Square Enix answered the question in a poor way, and he should. And I'm pretty sure he's not gonna, reflect on it, cause I don't think he said anything wrong, cause that's how Japanese people are when it comes to stuff like this. I
But
mean,
hopefully he reflects on it, and maybe the
I hope
next
it.
game that he's a part of, this he thinks about it in his head the next time. Hope
Hmm.
sometimes that's the best we can hope for. Is that like,
Yeah.
hey man, we just asked for a thing. It's too late to do it now, but like the next time, maybe just think
Hmm.
about us.
Okay. Anyone have anything else to say about this subject?
Oh,
Going on? Yeah, go ahead.
I said no, I don't.
Okay. Then the next subject would be: would you please pull the Atomic Heart fiasco? Zero?
Is it me?
Yeah.
Oh, sure thing.
You are our news reporter for the night.
Welcome to the news. What do we have? Atomic Heart trailers developed. Oh, okay. Atomic Heart trailers developed as vertical slice, project suffered crunches, and mismanagement. This is from Twisted Voxel from a Mr. Ali Bari. Atomic Heart trailers were reportedly developed as a vertical slice, and the project has been victim of crunches and I hate when articles lead their very first sentence with the title of the article. It
Yeah,
frustrates me to no end.
Why?
it's
You're
lazy
literally
writing.
going
It's
through.
lazy fucking writing.
How is it lazy when you're
Like
the what
because
you
you're
got?
literally just taking
One
your
second.
title, copying it, and pasting it into
Yeah, but they're
your
ex-
right. No,
up. Uh, did he leave it the article as such, or is he building upon it, explaining why that's the case?
No, I mean I think it's a writing style. I feel like it's not proper, quote unquote. Like you shouldn't that's the point of the title to tell you what it is, and so you shouldn't your first sentence shouldn't be a reiteration of we are not English majors. We're not going to go into a conversation about how articles should be written. I will continue with the article. According to a report from DTF.ru, the development of Atomic Heart has suffered through crunch, failed promises to the development team regarding bonuses, mismanagement, lack of milestones, reboots, misleading via vertical slice, feature creep, and several other problems. Development builds of the game will be presented to investors every annual quarter, which resulted in demand for significant changes to the project. Gameplay trailers of Atomic Heart were reportedly developed as vertical slices instead of being captured from a working build of the game, giving an impression of a polished game to audiences. It was decided at some point that the game would feature an open world with various paths and dungeons. Robert Barunti, a CEO/investor associated with the project, is of the view that any game that sells only a picture and a story, and therefore the gameplay, can be neglected. According to him, the development team at Mundfish has a lot of work to do, and he believes that they can and should give up primitive joys like weekends and vacations for the betterment of the project. He promised that developers will be reimbursed with bonuses beyond their expectations. As mentioned earlier, the management failed to deliver on these promises as the bonuses never came through. There were numerous milestones and dates, but they were all overly optimistic, especially with regards to the console versions. All versions required extensive testing, and on a couple of occasions, the management's plans left about 2 to 3 months of time for testing to console versions. Crunches have increased in frequency over the past year, mostly due to the insistence of investors. The majority of the development team was at work over the New Year's break. There were times when developers were given no choice but to crunch. Additionally, the management also appeared to have indulged in a periodic wave of layoffs and new hires upon reviewing the development team's work. Over at Enthusiast Gaming Forum Reset Era, the author of the report mentioned that a total of over 10 members of the game's development team have corroborated his story, further suggesting that these are more than just rumors at this point. Ooh, that's rough.
So, what going? So, where is anyone that needs to protect them. Is there no one to protect them from this? And I mean by that developer, but also us, the consumers. Cause
Um,
how is? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I mean, in a vacuum, aren't most trailers like vertical slices anyway? Like
But how is that
that's kind of the
acceptable
point.
though?
It's kind of the point. Trailers are vertical slices. It's not like if it's a trailer, it's not straight gameplay. It's cut to look a certain way in trailer form. So I mean, I get what they're saying, but every trailer known to man has been produced to make the game look a certain way. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of it's kind of a thing. It's kind of how you do that.
So it's not
The only thing I
possible
can
to
say that
have
isn't
raw gameplay.
vertical slice would be like, I'm sorry.
It's not possible to simply have raw gameplay.
Then you would have gameplay. Why would you call that a trailer? And there is a trailer for that. It's called a
I mean,
gameplay trailer.
gameplay trailer.
There's different trailer. Like if you have a launch trailer, vertical slice. Reveal trailer, vertical slice. The only thing that is gameplay would be you have to call it a gameplay trailer. But generally speaking, a trailer is a vertical slice. They're showing either the best parts of that they want you to see. They're framing scenes in a certain way. Like, have you ever seen like a commercial for Call of Duty, like Modern Warfare? You don't get those camera angles in game, but they have camera angles that you wouldn't get in game in their trailers because that's how
So
they make trailers.
so vertical flight is not a bad thing because everyone does it, but the
It's
crunch
not a bad
is.
thing, but in this case, they're from the sounds of it, they're being purposely misleading on how complete their game is. These trailers from them have looked fire.
They did.
Like every
You have been
Atomic
on
Heart
record
trailer that's
saying
come
and
out has
such.
been fire.
Yeah, you have been on record saying and such. And now we know why it's looking for you because it's fake.
Yeah, because now the game ain't out till February. They still have time to make it that way. If that
Do
is
they
like
though?
what happens, what happens, you have a problem when you over deliver on your vertical slice and your end product does not match um what you get. And we as gamers have seen that. And I hope that's not the case because that's gonna suck. Because I was kind of looking forward to picking that game up and playing it, but
Hmm.
you know
Yeah,
that I mean they're opening themselves up to monetary damages by showing one thing and then not giving it to us. I mean, it's kind of what Cyberpunk did to people that were on old ass gen consoles. You feel me?
But
Like
where is whatchamacallit? Who is this? Who have marketing deal for this one?
who has the marketing deal? I think Microsoft does because it's going into Game Pass.
So where is Microsoft quality of control?
It's not their game. Who gives a shit?
Huh?
It's a third party game.
It's a third
It's
party,
a,
but
it's a,
so
it's not
who
exclusive. It's not exclusive in any way. Well, again,
so who
what
should
quality control do they need?
okay so
Especially
who
when they
should
still show the
then
PlayStation logo on the trailer. Like it's they're not funding the mark. They're not funding it. You know what I mean?
hmm
Like the only thing they can put on there is like, yeah, it's gonna be day one in Game Pass. Like that's pretty much it. But they're not paying for the
so
marketing for that game.
who should be the one that is the quality of control
The damn company making the game.
and
yeah. I
it's
mean,
not doing so.
if outside of that, they're publishers, but you know,
Yeah, that too.
yeah,
I could understand if this was a Microsoft published game. Yeah, I'd be
Then
like, yeah,
it's
Microsoft needs to be all over this shit, but they're not.
mm-hmm,
They just got a game in Game Pass. They got a contract. Hey, this shit's gonna be in Game Pass.
mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
it's just like even with what the fuck was that Crossfire fucking X? Like even though they semi published that a little bit, but it's like there's no marketing really outside of
didn't
like
Microsoft
Xbox related shit.
publish Crossfire?
Yeah, I said they published
Mm-hmm.
part of it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they funded
Um.
part of it, but then you look at the marketing they did. They were like, "This game's rough. We're not marketing this shit like at all." When they didn't.
Mm-hmm. So Now, remember when I said that I wanted CD Projekt Red to have consequences? Disasters to have consequences? That's why. I don't think Atomic Heart would developers or publishers would have done what they've done now if there was any consequences for Cyberpunk. Would you guys agree?
I actually don't. The only thing I think Cyberpunk would have done is just made sure people would have made sure to hide themselves better. Because no one knew this about Atomic Heart, but apparently this has been going on for a very long time. Until someone finally broke and sort of leaked the story, which even as of now isn't 1,000% corroborated, right? It's still closer to rumor territory. But when
It's
you have
speculation.
but when you have a CEO who's saying he believes his workers should give up primitive joys like weekends and vacations, there is no amount of cyberpunk backlash that's going to change this dude's mind.
Yep.
And as far as I'm concerned, it's this dude and probably his level of management that fall below him who are part of the problems here, because they're selling these vertical slices to, and Jube's right, like the people should know better. It's a vertical slice. But I wouldn't be surprised if someone in that room is like, "Oh, is this a vertical slice of the game?" And he's like, "No, this is actual real gameplay."
Yep.
And they're just like,
But
"Oh, cool."
they've never said that. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's never been a. It's so. I like to go back to like what the fuck is it? Watch Dogs. You remember the reveal trailer for Watch Dogs?
Yeah.
That fucking vertical slice we got, and the game that we got after that was not that. Like this shit has been happening to us for years. Like they always do this shit to us.
Yeah.
Reveal trailer always over promises and over delivers, and then we don't get that in the end.
Yeah, and like for us as consumers, our job is to be like, this game sucks. We're not buying this. They lied to us. But like, if they're lying like their investors, it's like a whole different thing, because like the investors can shut this down long before we do anything.
Facts.
And if they're like, they come in like, what are you doing with my money? And they show this amazing thing, and they're like, oh great, I am about to like make money hand over fist with this game. And then they go back to the team and it's like, all right, well, it's time to give up your weekends for the next year because we oversold to our investors, so we have to get it together. I'm like, no, that's poor management. Probably flat out lying, or at the very least manipulating the truth. So like, I think the vertical slice is the small part of it. That's just within everything. It really does feel like they're flat out lying to people they need to answer to. And then unfortunately making their employees work unreasonable hours to get a game out. And I too was looking forward to Atomic Heart, but after reading this story, and I won't stand on the principle part of it. I'm just not convinced it's going to come out to be a good game.
Me neither.
Like you can't, like there's something to be said about like crunch is required because like we're in the last stretches of this. This feels like the entire project is just being mismanaged. And like if you mismanage a project, it's going to come out bad. And I don't think anybody's gonna be surprised after the stories we hear about like, oh yeah, no shit. Like no one knew. This feels to me like, they're hiring and firing staff. People are working ridiculous hours. People are probably quitting. The CEO is definitely making moves without anybody else knowing, and just like coming back and being like, "You gotta do this now." When did we agree on this? So I feel sorry for the staff at Munfish. We need some unions. Even though this guy definitely feels like a guy who would definitely like try to bust up a union being formed at his company.
So, Dead on Arrival?
I'm
Uh,
not saying dead on arrival. Like I said, it's the fact that they still have time, and I mean, we we I can hope, but I'm glad this shit's coming to Game Pass because I'm not dropping $70 to find out. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
if it's bad, I'm not out no major money. If it's bad, I
yeah.
my yeah, I'll be straight. I'm sorry for anybody else that if they do pay full price for this game and it's trash, sucks. But
Yeah, and I hope, and yeah, like hopefully it's dead on arrival because like the game just sucks.
this is where I will say like the benefit of having a subscription service comes in handy because you can dodge bullets on these trash games if they are indeed trash.
Hell, I wouldn't even mind it if Microsoft was like, we don't really like what we're hearing out of this. It's going. Why are we giving you money for
That could
this?
absolutely happen. Like if there is credence
Yeah,
to this, that could actually also
yeah,
happen as well.
yeah. Why would we
So
prepay you for a terrible game? That's fine. You can go sit and like in the wild like everybody else and like hope that your game makes it. Um, Similar with PlayStation, with if it inevitably wants to come to PS Now, it's like, no, we're fine. Why would we give you money for your terrible game? You're good. You can pay us, and then we'll think about it. But otherwise, no, we're good.
I think once Xbox gets to a certain point, I think you'll start to see that. Like you'll see like, all right, this is the base that you get just for coming onto the service, and you get like a bonus if your game, scores an 80 or above. Like they'll create incentives. Like we're not gonna give you a ton of money to put trash in our service.
I
Only if you're
definitely,
paying for a game.
I agree with you. Do you think they do a part of that already? At least with successful games that like fit the algorithm better. It's been a while since I actually looked at Game
The thing
Pass.
right now is purely based on how well the game does in the service.
Mm.
I don't think they base it on quite on meta and things like that yet.
Yo,
Because that,
so I actually found like somebody was talking about. I mean, Atomic Heart's been in development for like a long time, like 4+ years, and
yeah,
they
I
were
mean,
talking about like
this article had mentioned
they
New
didn't
Year's
have
was like
like
months ago.
yeah like they were talking about like how they in 2018 like they didn't have like a created like there was like a bunch of shit like just 4 years ago. We know this game was being made prior to that, so I mean this could just be a culmination of like a rough development, and that also kind of makes me think that some of these things have credence, but then again, how old is also some of this information that's just now coming out, and relative to like the state of the game as of like right now.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
it's like that this like I said, this game has been in development for a while. It's like, oh, in 2018 they laid off like 12 people. Like that's 4 years ago.
Mm.
What how did that affect the game in 2022? You know what I mean? Um we'll see. It's definitely one of those that I hope it's good, but I'm not gonna be disappointed if it's trash.
Yeah. Fuck them.
Um, yeah, as for me, I'm disappointed with this news, mostly because it seems the universe didn't learn anything from Cyberpunk, and I don't think the universe will learn from Cyberpunk, because
I
at the
mean,
end of the
the
day, yeah, what
I
you
think
want
the
to say?
thing with Cyberpunk is yeah, the only thing with Cyberpunk is like I think don't drop a completely broken game has been a thing. Like
Yeah, the
since
only problem with
Cyberpunk, like
Cyberpunk is that it's too
how many totally
ambitious.
broke yeah, how many totally broken games we got since that happened? Like I don't think anything has come out that's just been this is completely
Yeah,
unplayable. What the hell is this?
Mm,
Like even Call of Duty launched pretty fucking well. Like I was very surprised. Even playing the campaign like a week early, like I didn't have any issues with it.
no, there was a few there. Battlefield
There
was
may have
broken.
been. I mean, did Battlefield? Yeah, I mean, sure. It's Battlefield
Battlefield,
though. It's fucking.
there is Battlefield.
Do
There
you
is
trust
Gotham Knight
EA to drop?
is
Battlefield didn't drop as a completely broken game. I played Battlefield.
I was
It
was
dropped
it
as a
what
bad game.
Yeah, I say, was it
But it
broken or
wasn't
just
a
did it
broken
suck?
game. Yeah,
It wasn't broken. It was just garbage.
Yeah, I
It
just
was not a good
thought the
game.
things they implemented, like, it just sucked as an overall package. It's like, this game just sucks. Like, no one wants to play it. Like, I'm gonna go back to playing any of the other first-person shooters that are just better than this currently.
Same with Gotham Knights. Like it's not broke. It's not a great game.
Yeah, or
I didn't mind it.
Overwatch. Yeah, 'cause, Overwatch. It's like there's nothing like Overwatch works. It works now. It didn't work when it first released, but like it's just more of the same. So like if you're done with Overwatch, like Overwatch 2 isn't giving you anything more or like substantial. It's just like this is the same dumb game I didn't like years ago, just with a like a kind of fresh coat of paint and a couple of new characters. Like it's still a dumb game, so I don't want to play it. Whereas there have been some like just flat out this game doesn't work and nobody should be playing it because it doesn't work type of energy.
Yeah, we're not getting Fallout 76.
Yeah, as far as it just didn't
Game.
fucking work.
Hey, we will see what's gonna happen with this one. I'm genuinely curious. Um, the next topic is going to be, and Zero, please pull up Phil Spencer interview.
Oh, next time we do this, don't.
You have it, or do you
Oh,
need me to send it?
Well, because it went to the tweet, not the actual
Yeah,
interview.
it's a video.
Well, it just pulled up the. Well, let me just start here from this very small tweet that I can read. Oh wait, yeah. Wall Street Journal directly asked Phil Spencer to reveal how many people are currently subscribed to Xbox Game Pass. Phil gives old number when asked, can they get an update? Phil laughs and says no. Says console growth has slowed down and doesn't ever see GP being more than 50% of revenue.
There is that, and then there is also another one where they said that console, no, Game Pass have been declined when it comes to, or rather, yeah, reach its peak when it comes to, what do you call it,
It's reached
console,
the saturation point basically on console.
while Game Pass
Yeah.
on PC is still going strong. So, do you think this is why Phil wanted to put Game Pass on PlayStation and Nintendo? Because he knew Game Pass on Xbox is not going to be enough to bring back the investment that the numbers that they wanted to get.
Um, I mean, basically, what I got from what he's saying is that basically Game Pass has reached a saturation point, whereas pretty much everybody who wants the service, who owns an Xbox, that's it. Um, but that doesn't mean that there isn't room for growth on Xbox. It's just that, you know, Xbox has been missing on releasing first party content. They haven't, the people who don't necessarily care whether or not they have Game Pass, they don't have a reason to get Game Pass. So, as far as attracting new customers, so they have to release, they have to actually release content to attract new customers. Um, as far as as far as their existing console base. Um, so I definitely think once something like Call of Duty gets in there, that's something that a new community of Xbox gamers would look at potentially getting, Game Pass, you know, instead of actually buying the game. So it's reached a saturation point as far as the core base users who actually want a subscription service all have the subscription service.
So with that, Phil also hinted at whatchamacallit, price raise, and they have been giving abysmal games in gold to push people to Game Pass. And shout out to Nate, one of my co-hosts, a game player. He said, "What's gonna happen when the people that had the $1 deal for 3 years run out? Because these people are not gonna subscribe." Do you think Microsoft is preparing for that?
No, I don't think that's necessarily true. That people are just going to instantly stop subscribing once the $1 promotion runs out.
I
It
mean,
depends on the value of the service. And plus, you underestimate how many people are locked into subscriptions that they don't use and don't even think twice about it.
That's where it is for me. I think that
I mean, you got to factor that in as well. Like, people don't really mind $10 a month coming out of their account. But most of the people who pay that $1 a month, they're paying the $1 a month for $9.99. They're not even gonna blanket that. Most people.
there's a difference between $1 and 99
$9. Nobody cares about $10 in America. I can say at least nobody cares about.
I can't even spend $10 when I go to fast food, bro. It's always more. I don't care about $10.
shit. Yeah, you're right. And
No,
to,
hold on, 1 second, Zero. Just because you care doesn't mean that you don't care. Doesn't mean other people don't care. No.
I don't think that's the majority
Well,
of.
I don't think.
Go to Planet. It's like
Here's the thing. If you're gonna complain over $10, I don't ever want to fucking hear you say you bought a $70 game. You can kiss my ass. If you are upset over $10, you have no business buying no $70 games. If $10 is hurting you, you shouldn't be playing games. Period.
Go to an American gym and see how empty it is, and see how many members that gym actually has. Like it's like people are subscribed to so many things. I can speak for at least here in America, and they just pay it and they don't care.
I had a gym membership for like a year and didn't go majority of the time, to be honest. So
Yeah, I mean, that's
trust
just
me, like people, I'm still subscribed to Netflix. I don't watch Netflix. I still pay for it. It's just a thing. Like people, it's the convenience of set and forget, and then you don't worry about it.
And I think
if
a lot
I
of
do want to
companies.
use Netflix, it's there. If I do want to go to the gym, I can just walk in. Like that's the type of
Yep, yep. That's the
that's the
attitude for sure.
mentality that people have when they subscribe to certain things. It's not because they're going to use it all the time. It's because when they want to use it, it's going to be there.
And it's the mentality I think that these companies use. They understand this completely. Like I think most companies that rely on a subscription model very clearly understand that like a majority of the time it is constant revenue because it is so much easier to charge someone $10 than it is 60, than it is 120, than it is 160. Because people don't tend to think about it. It is certainly true that not everyone can afford $10 for that. I would be willing to bet that most of these companies aren't concerned about those people who have to pay for $1. That is
Yep.
not their major revenue stream. I'm not so sure there are that many people who have to do that. That it is always more of a just sticking point about like, oh, I don't know why you'd pay $10. I just paid $1, or I use my Microsoft Bing points. But like, think about everything you need to even do that. Like, you have to have access to a computer to get onto Microsoft Bing to load up those points. Which means like chances are you probably have a little bit of extra disposable income, so that $10 doesn't affect you so much.
Yep.
So I hear you, Omar. There are definitely people who can't. I don't think any company, not Nintendo, not Sony, not Microsoft, are worried about those people. They, quite frankly, they could care less about them probably, because if basically you can't afford my service, and like I can keep giving you deals and deals, but if I take away the deals, then you're just gone, and you're gone anyway. But your $1 really wasn't that helpful to me anyway. Because as far as I can tell, PlayStation and Nintendo don't do stuff like that. It's just Xbox that does it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
You're
like,
right.
yeah. So like,
I mean,
it,
PlayStation was giving away like free years of PlayStation Now with like with when you sign up for Verizon or Xfinity, they were doing promotions like that as well.
okay.
So I mean,
So yeah, I mean, so then there's some level of promotion. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I guess Nintendo does it somewhere. Most of the time, I don't never see them doing it. They don't really talk about their online service that often anyway. But it. I mean, I think Phil makes a lot of sense. Inevitably, there had to be a like cutoff point for how many people are subscribed to this thing. There's
I
only gonna
mean,
Yeah.
ever be so many people.
they tried. There's a reason why they wanted PlayStation. What you call it? Um,
to be realistic, in any business, there's always a saturation point. Like that's just how the numbers work. There's always going to be a saturation point at some point
Right.
when it
That,
comes
but
to these businesses.
that's also not to say that that won't change in the future. I mean, you literally have how many next gen games have we gotten from Xbox in 2 years? Outside of Flight Sim, that answer to that question is zero.
That's what I'm
So,
saying. The core group of people who just
a-
want
a-
a subscription service have a subscription service.
right
Those
as of right now,
other Xbox owners need incentive to actually
exactly.
get in. So they need that first party content that would make
Yeah.
them get a subscription service. But the people who already want the service, they're locked in. That's pretty much what Phil is saying. We've reached our
Yeah.
saturation point
The
as far
people
as
who are
getting in
happy,
those.
the people who are happy with how their software looks right now, that want the service, have it. Anybody that's not convinced, they don't.
Yeah.
Like if that changes, if first party, if they start dropping bangers and shit, we're gonna be hearing about is Game Pass growth because it's gonna be a thing. But they don't have the incentive to get the people that aren't already convinced or looking forward to what's ahead.
and
They have to go
if
Like if Halo was popping right now, no one will be talking. No one at Xbox will be talking about, "Oh, we've reached our saturation point." I guarantee you that. Like
Mhm.
that's an example.
the deal doesn't go through, and Microsoft have yet to,
If the deal doesn't go through, that $70 billion is still Xbox's money to go buy something else.
they can.
Yep.
I don't know why people get
If
caught up in this Activision thing.
Don't say they can't. You can't
no,
say
no,
they
no,
can't.
no.
They can.
If they can't get Activision, I don't think they're gonna be able to get any other publisher. A few developers, yeah.
$70 billion, who won't
No,
take?
it's not about the money. It's about
It is about the money.
the industry going against them. Then
Well, I mean, if
The
everything
industry,
is
like
if everything is fair
$70 billion.
in the way it's supposed to be, the argument only exists for Activision because of Call of Duty. No other like game exists in the specifics. Well, very few. So like for lack of it, if they wanted to buy Square Enix, say right, like Square Enix doesn't sit in the same position that Call of Duty does. I don't think PlayStation. I mean, they
Hell,
could, but
they
like
could
no
they could
one
buy
can really make.
Ubisoft. Yeah,
Yeah, or
they could buy
Ubisoft.
Ubisoft. What's Sony gonna say? Oh, it's affecting our sales. No, the fuck it ain't.
Like
Fuck
I
out
don't
of
think
here.
I don't think it will because like Call of Duty is such a special case.
There's a lot of strife
That's hard.
inside of Ubisoft of executives wanting to sell, but there's two guys pretty much that are like, no, they're doing everything they can to hold on to the company right now. So Ubisoft is very much a potential acquisition out there, not just for Microsoft, but anybody who's looking to acquire a publisher.
I mean, I hope not because
Like, it's not like
I like
it's not
Mario
like
Rabbids and I
like
don't
these
want that to go
publishers
away.
are just holding firm. We're not selling. Like that's just not the case.
Yeah, I
oh
think
yeah,
Microsoft would just have to be very smart and like take the lessons they learn if they don't get the Activision deal. All
well,
right, how
apparently we're
do we do
not
this without
prepared.
making a big deal move?
Apparently, according to Insider, which again, take it with a grain of salt if you do or not, from the way Microsoft have been talking and acting, I would not be surprised if that's the case. According to an insider, Microsoft was not prepared for the scrutiny that they're getting with this deal.
Of course, bruh. I swear that CMA bullshit is bullshit. Like, read it. Read
They
it.
are
It's
extremely
trash.
scrutiny. Like it's a
If
$70
you
billion
thought the
company
CMA
with a
thing was
massive
bullshit,
company.
wait until did you read what the FTC said?
Nah, show.
FTC hasn't said anything publicly
They did.
about
They
this
They have.
did.
deal.
They did. So apparently with FTT, there was an article about how the reason why the FTC haven't done anything yet is because there was a split between Democrats and Republicans. But with the recent
So that's an opinion because the FTC does not come out and publicly speak on these matters.
They don't.
When they make their statement, when they make their decision, that's when something will come
no,
out.
this is not about
They don't
decision.
speak
This is
about
just
anything until a decision is actually
The
from.
FTC does not speculate. They do not
Yeah,
speculate.
so I mean, like
It's
what you're talking about is hearsay. That there's nothing that the FTC has said on record um, when it comes to that.
they haven't mentioned the FTC in a fucking article since October 5th. That's over a month. They haven't said shit. So I don't want to hear like FTC is out here talking shit because they don't. That's not how they move.
I literally read an article about
When
that.
it's what's the date of the article?
Give me, I'm looking it up.
Because
Yeah,
there's not an article
I
dated
found a
after
couple.
October 5th that
Yeah, I was
matters.
gonna say for October 5th, but I don't see anything specifically from, as you said, the FTC themselves. It says
Yeah,
there are
it's
rumors
speculation.
that the staff is saying stuff, but like once again, them as an organization, as far as I can tell, has not said anything.
Yeah, it hasn't gone to the commissioners or the bureau. Like they're
The staff is a very broad term, like that. Like just
It's
because
just
you're on the
people who work
FTC
there. Yeah,
staff does
it's
not
just
mean
people.
that you're a decision maker.
Yeah, it's just people who work there.
Yeah.
Which, like, again, they can know stuff, but like that doesn't knowing things does not say what the FTC believes. It just says what you think may or may not happen based on what you're hearing in your office, which could always be different. Because unless you're like one of the big dogs, then like you're just hearing stuff and you just
By the
commenting,
way,
which is fine. But yeah,
I'm just gonna add one final topic to the topic because I forgot about it, which is what we call it, FromSoft and PlayStation and Tencent deal, which I'm gonna link you. But
so they can do publisher deals with no scrutiny though. It's okay.
no,
It's okay for them to do it. FromSoft wants to be a publisher.
one PlayStation didn't buy
they should be a
FromSoft.
publisher.
They can't afford to.
They bought stake. They own stake in FromSoft. What do you
They
mean they
own
didn't
what,
buy
Already
FromSoft?
16%?
given Sony
They own
PlayStation a mandate
16%.
as
They
to how
don't
much money
even.
they can spend. They can't afford FromSoft. 'Cause
Dude,
Sony already
they
told them, no, you
absolutely
can't
can.
buy any
Hold up.
games.
So, Zero said, not Zero, Juve said they can afford, and now you're saying they can't. Make up your point.
I didn't say that
Yeah,
they
you
can't.
did. You
I didn't
did.
say that. I did not. When did I say that they can afford it?
You said that PlayStation can go buy publisher themselves.
Yeah, they're buying into it. They're
Publisher
literally
deals.
buying into it to get creative control inside FromSoft.
They're not,
buying
but
the whole.
They're literally getting the
They're
publisher
buying into the
benefit without
company.
having to buy the whole thing.
they're literally investing, 16%.
16% puts them in the boardroom to make decisions.
All right. So 16%. What does that mean in dollars? Like just the thought of percentage.
I'm
doesn't
looking
mean
up
much.
the
Okay.
article.
All right. So 16% could be like $30 million. So if Sony says to PlayStation division, hey, we're going to give you $100 million or $100 billion or whatever finite amount of money that they've given them because they have publicly, what was it? Maybe not this last quarterly release, but in the previous quarterly release, they publicly stated how much more money they will allocate to the PlayStation division for acquisitions. So that and they're right at the edge of it. So it's when I say they can't afford it, it's not like, oh, Sony can't afford anything. Like, no, they've been given a mandate of what they are fiscally able to do.
There you go. I found it. So I'm gonna share it with you. Give me a
Here's
second.
here's the other thing. Do you know what the whole point of buying stake in a company does? You don't have to go through commission approval to do that
Also,
because
yeah,
you're
you
not
don't
going to
got to
have a
spend.
majority.
Yeah,
You don't have a majority stake. You can put, as long as you don't have majority, you can put whatever amount you want in there just to get in there, just to get in the room. That's what Tencent does. No government, no like world governing body is going after Tencent for having their hands in all these pots, but they do, and they get benefits from that.
it's the smart play anyway for a company that can't throw around money like Microsoft, like
If
buying
you don't
vested
have big,
interest.
exactly, having
Yeah,
vested interest in being able to make board decisions and influence board decisions because you're invested in the company, then that, I mean, that's really no different than outright buying them. It's just outright buying them means you have 100% control. You can't be told no because you own them.
Zero, can you please read the article synopsis? I'm gonna feed my cat very fast. Be right back.
I would say that I don't know if this necessarily covers what we were talking about, but Sony's investment from software um, could lead to future projects being used and could lead to from software properties being used in PlayStation Productions projects. While discussing the company's purchase of minority stake in Elden Ring developer, PlayStation Studio head Herman Hulse told Reuters, "You should think of collaborations on the game development side first and foremost, but it's not. It's also not unthinkable with our PlayStation Productions efforts that we explore opportunity. PlayStation Productions, one of the latest arms of Sony PlayStation Empire, focuses on adapting PlayStation franchises for film and television. While Sony is yet to use IP that isn't its own in the PlayStation Productions presentation, it is now an established relationship with From Software may lead to a non-gaming based product coming from the franchise. Hall's comments imply that Elden Ring or Bloodborne film or TV series could be considered due to Sony's investment in the group. Sony recently acquired a 14.09% of From Software from its parent company. First, blah 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 blah, and that's just about uh, the rest is just about the Last of Us. Although the Umbrella Academy showrunner is currently developing a show based on the Horizon franchise, and that it is working on a TV adaptation of God of War with Amazon and a Gran Turismo film made by Neil Blomkamp.
Yeah,
Huh.
there's a Gran Turismo one. Yeah. PlayStation is going all in, but also Nintendo, not it, Nintendo and Microsoft. Nintendo is doing the Mario, and Microsoft is doing now Gears. So
It's
everyone is
not
going the
necessarily they're
TV
going
route.
all in per se. Hollywood is actually reaching out into
Yeah,
gaming, looking for new
yeah,
stories.
and
It's
and
more
and a
Hollywood looking for it because I mean, you don't think that like Nintendo and Sony and Xbox, haven't had a desire to do that for a long time. It's not that they didn't want to; it's that Hollywood is actually searching for these stories now.
case in point, because District 9 was showing up, like Neil Blomkamp. What is that movie? District 9. Um, I believe originally got its life as a Halo movie. It started off, he was supposed to make a Halo movie, didn't really work. Other things happened, and like we wind up with District 9, but like that was years and years ago. But like Pharaoh said, Hollywood wasn't interested in the Halo movie. They didn't really know how to make it work. They didn't really get what made video games so special. And every other sort of video game property that was a movie at the time really didn't do very well. Um, so they were like, "Nah, we're fine." Now that Hollywood is circling back, being like, "Oh, wait, these Sonic movies making a lot of money," or this Resident Evil
Cheating making a lot of
franchise went
money.
on. Yeah, this Resident Evil franchise went on for God knows how long, and
And
they
though it
pulled
was
in
a
pretty
B
well.
movie,
And
it made
Sony,
money.
yeah, made an enormous money. It's like 8 of these movies. um, and Sony is poised to be pretty well at it. They're a movie studio. Like, make the movie. I am not at all that jazzed about a God of War show or a Gran Turismo. Well, no, Gran Turismo could be interesting. Um, but God of War, nah. Uh,
like God of
honestly,
War is like you either get Batista or you get like Jason Momoa or you do CGI. So I'm like, yeah,
we're
I'll do
gonna
that.
see what The Last of Us going to be.
If
I think Last of
Batista
Us is gonna
is
be
not
shit.
in this damn show, if he's not in this damn show, it's criminal. It's
He's gonna
fucking
be too.
criminal.
He's gonna be too old. Even though, unless they do like new God of War, like Batista, he's 50 now.
Who?
He is 50 now.
Yeah,
They can
like,
de-age him a little bit, but bruh, give him this.
Who?
Give him this. He's wanted this for
Instead
so
of
long.
Wrestler.
Give him this.
he has. But like, look, isn't he supposed to be in the Gears show or
Who?
movie?
Who?
Batista.
Batista.
He has
Batista.
to be in the Gears.
Batista is not even God of War. Nah, he
Like,
doesn't look like
It's
Kratos.
not a lot of. It's not a lot of 6 foot, 270
Bro.
pound.
I would,
Bald
I
men
would
out
take,
there.
Batista's
I would
already
take,
in the
They
game.
don't exist.
He's
I
he's-
would,
It's like 3
I
of
would,
them.
I would take someone like Triple H. Triple H.
No,
looks
he's older. The fuck?
Triple H is
He's
like
older than
60,
Batista.
and he looks like shit now. Like, bro, like, you don't want Triple H on any screen right now. You don't want him
Ever,
to-
bro. His body
He
looks
looks
chewed,
rough.
bro.
Hey, there's.
No,
I'm
but
sure there's
Batista's
some
already in
unknown-
the game. He already has a skin in the game. He's in the game.
He's
Let
in.
this
I
man
said
be in the
he-
show.
He's
Wait,
supposed to
hold
be
up,
making the
hold,
movie.
hold up. We're talking about Gears of War now.
Or we're talking about them both.
Yes.
God
I
of
thought
War
we're
and
talking
Gears.
about God of War.
Both.
We're talking about finding actual actors who have the physique to play
Yeah,
the
for
role
Batista.
of someone like
Yeah,
Kratos.
for Batista, Gears of War, for Gears of War, Batista makes absolutely sense. Yeah, no, but
But
for
if you do live
Kratos,
action, he makes sense for God of War as well.
no.
There's not a lot
For
of
Kratos-
men
I just think he's too
Triple
old.
A.
Hollywood that match the physique of Kratos.
I think he's just too old, man. You had to
Nah.
find somebody new. Somebody else got to be. Somebody right now is getting
I don't
jacked
disagree.
for that God of War role.
I don't disagree that he's too old, but at the same time, there is limited options as far as if you go live action to find that type of man to play that type of role.
They out
That's
there.
why I
But,
said CGI would be the best option.
but which is why I don't think they should make the God of War show. Like, I don't know, not that one.
Just don't do live action.
Yeah.
Because you're
Just like
gonna find like some muscle bound dude to play that role who's actually a good actor. I'm sure you can, go to Gold's Gym and find, someone that looks like Kratos.
so no, just like Twisted Metal. Like, I know that's a show. And like, I don't know if
Yeah, they're Twisted
I don't know if
Metal.
that's gonna like hit. One, it feels
I
incredibly
believe-
expensive.
After hearing that, what's his name, Samoa Joe is a voice actor for Sweet Tooth, I would not be surprised if it goes well, because Joe is a killer on the mic.
But it's a live action show, right?
I mean, yeah. I don't
just don't.
know what it is, to
Because
be
then
honest.
it's like, whose story are they telling? Like, I guess
I
Sweet
don't know.
Tooth, he's
Real
the most
talk, I
notable
never-
character.
I never played Twisted Metal for a story. I always played it for the gameplay.
Yeah, and like, there's a very clear story involved there, and like,
Yeah, but
uh,
you need to,
personally, I'd be very interested. A From Software game, I think could do, or a From Software show could do really well. But once again, I think it can be very, very expensive. Because I think, unlike a Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones, where you can spend most of your time with regular looking people, like, most From Software games don't have like one or two regular looking people. Everybody else is some horrifying monster, and like, I just think that's expensive, man. Like,
See, that's the biggest problem is that Hollywood
Yeah.
gets so caught up in like,
how much this is
No.
going to cost me?
well, getting actors like jobs, like getting their face on screen,
Yeah,
that they
Yeah.
don't deliver the story in its best light when it comes to these video games.
I mean, what's his name? Resident Evil had a chance, and also Monster Hunter had a chance. Let's see
I mean,
what.
Monster Hunter sucked. But
Yeah,
Resident Evil
you,
was fine.
And
But see,
they
Monster
didn't
Hunter is
deliver
like
it in the best possible medium. They
yeah,
wanted to get actors on screen
and
to
that's
get
it. Because
paid.
Monster Hunter was also like for a game that is all about hunting monsters, there was very little hunting monsters in that movie. And as Farrell said, because they needed to get people on screen. So we had to spend too much time with Tony Jaa and Mila Jovovich and not enough time with Rathian,
It's the
any of
same
them on.
problem with the Godzilla movies. We spend too much time worrying about these people's relationships instead of
Yes,
what we all came here for.
monsters beating the hell out of each other.
is
Like
that
that's
not
all I
what
want to see.
happened with what's your name? The Transformers franchise? You spend a
Um,
lot of
I
time.
mean, well, no, because I mean, even Transformers, like they had like the show, the cartoon.
No,
Humans
I'm
played
not
a
talking
part in
about
that.
the cartoon.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the movie.
I'm
I
just saying
think
in general
yeah.
throughout the series and like core like comics and stuff. Like humans have always been involved. Did the movies go a little overboard with humans? Sure,
Yeah.
because it should have been really focused on the
Them, but
robots.
I think the movies at least do a good job of like every I'd be willing to bet like every 10 minutes there's a transformer on screen.
Hmm.
It's just it's just a lot of the movies suck. Like humans and no
Yeah,
humans, the movies just still kind of suck. So like if we're talking about, it's cool that Sony has interest in this, and From Software would be an excellent like series, with some killer images and visuals if like they can get a production
Hey,
company to really
if
pay
if
for
the
them.
deal goes through, then From Software will finally get an upgraded engine, cause their engine, they're what, one of two gen behind with their engine,
their
and
engine is fine. They go for art direction over cutting edge graphics, and it shows and it pays.
I mean,
Elden
also,
Ring, Elden Ring in a nutshell is not like this super crazy graphical looking game, but overall the art direction it just comes together. Like it has an aesthetic, it has a look,
and,
like
and,
all of their games do.
and at least according to this article, at least how this article is written, it's really not. It is focused far more on them making From Software movies or TV than it is anything about game development with From Software. Like it even says, like Herman Hull says, like you should think of collaborations on the game development side first, but the entirety of the rest of this article doesn't talk about how PlayStation can help From Software make games. All it
Exactly.
talks about is
But
how PlayStation can make From Software movie.
yeah, they Sony Pictures needs some cash because Morbius definitely ain't do it.
They got to
Too
release it a
bad
Well,
it's
third.
actually,
kind of
They
good
got
though.
they got to release it a third
I
time, and then it'll be fine.
I like it.
that
I'll say that much. I like Morbius.
movie garbage. That
I
movie garbage.
watched
Stop
it.
it.
It's a movie. That's about as much as I
I'm
can
not
say
saying that
about
it's a
that movie.
great film, but it was a good, anti-hero film. It wasn't like
No,
exceptional.
Black Adam is an okay anti-hero. Morbius, I would
True.
put a little bit lower than Black Adam. I
Well,
was like,
you
I
got
don't
you got to
know if
give Hollywood. Hollywood has to learn how to make these anti-hero films. This is their first flying
speaking
time
of
into that.
speaking of Black Adam, One Piece film Red surpassed Black Adam in the USA.
it's a little shocking considering The Rock is in the movie. But not surprising if people are just tired from superhero movies as a whole, and people
I
are loving
mean,
anime now.
One Piece film Red is a really great movie, so I'm not surprised by that. But yeah, I'm
Also,
I'm
them weebs is watching this movie like 6 times.
Yeah,
Just
I would
saying.
say like,
Ain't nobody going to see Black Adam 6 times.
no.
Cause you missed a lot of stuff with One Piece if you're not because there is Easter eggs, there is. You will
Yeah,
watch
if
it.
you
You will
watch
watch
One
it.
Piece, if you go to the movies and watch anything sub, you're gonna go see that bad boy probably twice because you're gonna miss some stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because
Also,
I'm missing shit at home watching it. I gotta keep hitting the rewind sometimes. Like I ain't gonna lie. I be missing shit.
But yeah, I'm curious what's gonna come from the collab. I'm down for a Bloodborne anime, but I'm like, you do real. I'm not talking to you guys, but in general, I'm pretty sure hope that PlayStation and Sony Picture knows that Bloodborne is from Berserk. So how you gonna top? I mean, the Berserk anime was horrendous. So maybe PlayStation can do something. Sony can do something better than CGI. We will see. Cause that Berserk anime was dog shit. Was god awful. Hey, anyone
Well,
is watching the Bleach final arc?
I am.
I don't think it's the final arc. They're not.
It is.
No, this yeah,
Uh,
it's just the animated version of the arc that's already been finished.
Yeah,
but
but
it's
that's
not.
the
It's
final
not. They're
arc.
not. They're not done with Bleach
No,
because
no, no.
they still did.
Thousand Blood War is the quote unquote official final arc.
They left room for with
Oh,
what's
oh,
his name?
there's a bunch of stuff they could have like figured
Yeah,
out,
because
but like
I mean,
the head captain
yeah, they can
they have a thing where the head captain comes back. They just haven't started writing it yet.
they can animate can say pretty all world or something like that. But that's
Oh,
not gonna follow Ichigo. So
no, there's a the head captain goes to hell and he like masters his sword to a new level, and they just haven't written it yet.
I
which
don't think they're
It's,
I don't think they're going to write it. That's what I'm saying. I
which
don't think
one is
happen
that?
Kubo's not doing. He's moved on to other stuff.
No, he so basically what Kubo did, he created a one shot for the manga, but with the
uh,
one shot he insinuated there is a new arc that's gonna happen, which is gonna be an official Hell arc. But the problem is that was so long time ago that we haven't seen anything yet from it after that. So I'm
yeah,
not sure.
it'll happen on their time. Like it may be 20 years from now, but they're still going to end up doing that shit. Watch.
I'll
Hey,
wait
we
for
will
that.
see. But yeah, so what I wanted to say is the I am not watching Bleach because I'm waiting on it to end before I watch it completely. But I
Yeah,
will
watching
tell
it
you,
every week is kind of tough
I
because I've been
have
watching it and it's like
I
really
have
good.
I have seen a few clips here and there. They are animating everything. They are leaving everything gore, literally,
Yeah, it's really
and
good.
yeah. So if we get a Bloodborne on the level of that, or an Elden Ring on the level
Oh
all of
no, they're
that,
not
so
getting that.
I mean,
I don't think they're going to do anime. They're
Like
probably looking
they
for
you
already
know how
said
much
they're gonna do
money
anime.
each like, bro, they're spending like probably like 100,000 per second on
I don't think
Bleach.
they're going to
Like,
make Bloodborne into it. Well, I mean, it's possible, but I don't know if they're going to make Blood or any From Software property into
They already said
anime.
that, so we will see.
It's not
But
in
yeah,
this article.
the final I okay. Um, the final topic is going to be about PlayStation decline in sales. I think in either revenue, no, not revenue, but basically game sales and also microtransaction, which I'm so glad. So go ahead, put it up, please.
PlayStation games and services suffer over 50% operating income year over year. This one, niche from Niche Gamer. Sony posted their Q2 earnings report for the fiscal year 2022, and it shows that their gaming division with PlayStation has suffered a rather dramatic drop in operating income. The massive drop is about roughly 59% when converted to US dollar. Such a massive drop off comes to the Japanese yen weakening, but also with one other major factor. The other factor with revenue dropping is that PlayStation posted its worst microtransactions revenue since 2019. Compared via TweakTown to last year at this point, revenue through add-on content, which includes microtransactions, DLCs, and expansions, has declined drastically over 20% by 30 or 374 million. It should be noted that 2021 was their record high, but 2022 quarter two was roughly similar to their values from 2019 quarter two, right before COVID pandemic, which led to an explosion of revenue for the company. The drastic drop in revenue through add-on content may be explained by their major drop in PlayStation Plus subscribers, where nearly 2 million users canceled their subs shortly after its relaunch back in June. This may have had an impact on their monthly average users also being low since 2019. Less active players mean less players buying microtransactions, most of which come from titles such as Call of Duty, Genshin Impact, Fortnite for Sony. This could be a concern if the former ends up being taken away after Activision Blizzard gets officially bought by Microsoft. But fortunately for Microsoft, Phil Spencer has gone on record saying that it will stay with the platform as long as it exists. Thankfully for Sony, it's not all doom and gloom since they aren't the only gaming company. Their music division saw they aren't only a gaming company. Their music division saw major increases to their operating income, and they do have big hits coming up to aid in revenue, such as the upcoming God of War Ragnarok.
I want also to add that PlayStation outsold Switch in Japan. And they confirmed that they reached 25 million console sales. So they're doing well. It's just I'm super glad with the whole microtransaction. And when it comes to the yen, they can't do anything about that.
Well, I mean, the microtransactions are down because PlayStation online subscriptions are down. If you're not playing games online, you don't really have incentive to purchase microtransactions. It's not a, you're not gonna have one without
Which
the
is
other.
why they're investing what they're investing in, and I'm not a fan of it. Like they're literally investing in 10 to 12 to 15 live action games as a live service. We're gonna see how these games gonna turn out to be.
Because live service keep the lights on, and
Sorry?
I mean, that said live service keeps the lights on. That's what you know is the lifeblood of a lot of top companies is they have at least one or two great live service games. Um,
That's a
it's
sad
it's
reality.
I mean, if you want the type of AAA games that you really enjoy, then you want your company to at least have one or two good live service games because you're not.
Keyword one or two,
No
not
way. There's
investing
no
in
way that you're
15.
gonna. There's not enough return on investment from a standalone AAA title that has no microtransactions. Like you're talking about just a one-off $60 game that costs 100 to $200 million to make. Like there's just not enough, return on investment for that to make sense for companies to do without having, a type of game, like a Fortnite or Grand Theft Auto Online or Sea of Thieves or Final Fantasy 14 to kind of help keep the lights on and kind of, it just doesn't make sense financially for these companies. It just doesn't without some type of live service element. Um, and that's kind of what PlayStation is running into. Whereas, yes, their first party sells well, but it's not quote unquote enough. So that's what they're saying. It's not enough. So that's why they're investing so heavily into service.
Well, also, at least according to the article, it seems as though they're leveling out.
What do you
If
mean?
they're just going back, the values that they have are similar to the values from 2019, a year before pre
Pre-pandemic levels, pretty much.
pre-pandemic values. Like inevitably, the pre-pandemic bump has to come down. And it seems now it's starting to come down a little bit, and things are starting to even out back to where they were before, which is good or I don't know if it's good or bad. I guess for Sony, it's they definitely want more. But the pandemic was a weird shot in the arm for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But inevitably, it's time to come back down to reality and be like, all right, the world is open up again, and stuff is happening. So like, we're
You gotta work for this bread now. You gotta.
Well,
exactly,
I
yeah.
think pre-pandemic levels. I think pre-pandemic levels is still a negative, no matter how they
Yeah,
try to word it.
yes, because like you don't want to be in the same place you were
It's a
2
growing
years ago.
industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, the game industry is growing right now. It's not a stagnant industry. So for you to be going that far backwards is still a loss.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
But I think it's an opportunity to get back to regular business. And if they can figure that out, get back to regular business and then put that business into growth, I'm sure they will be fine. If they have a couple of live service games, that's cool. It's always the biggest live service games aren't owned by anyone for the most part, like they're third parties. So if Sony can get one of their own, then that's pretty solid and still open it up to everyone
Destiny.
else.
So they get Destiny. That's one of the biggest live service.
It's pretty big, yeah. So like if they can finagle that Destiny money, that's a good side. That's a good solid thing. I think it would be wise for them to probably realize, listen, man, you're not going to remake Fortnite. It's just you could. It's certainly possible. It's probably not likely. Fortnite or Minecraft is sort of a 1 in a million chance, lightning in a bottle type of situation that comes and then
they tried it with Gran Turismo. They tried to make Gran Turismo that one big live service game, the one that just dropped.
And I don't think racing will ever be the big live service game. Any racing game.
Yeah, but the thing is, consumers buck at it. Like, why are we paying this much for these, cars here and there?
Yeah.
So they were met with opposition with that attempt. I mean, it doesn't have to be a huge live service game. It just has to be a successful live service game.
Right.
Like, it's not. I don't think it's necessarily the size of the game that matters. It's that the live service game is successful, relevant to the investment placed in it, and it brings in a consistent revenue stream. Those are that's what matters when it comes to these live service games.
Absolutely, but I think when you look at games that didn't take a lot of investment and are now billion-dollar industries, people do see that and still want that. Genshin, Minecraft, Fortnite. They didn't take a lot of upfront investment costs because Fortnite Save the World was always Fortnite was always supposed to just be like this extra thing for people to do until we finish the real game. And they stopped caring about the real game.
This is the real
Yep.
game.
No. Yeah, they realized the distraction became the real game.
Yeah, so it's like it cost
they were
them
talking about
little.
fucking Fortnite was getting talked about when I was still in fucking high school, bro. Like that
Yes.
shit's been in the oven for forever.
Yeah.
And Save the
And
World.
even when it first released, it didn't do well. It was until they shifted to the new model that they cut lightning in the bottle.
Yeah. My dumb ass bought the Founders Edition for Save the World. Like it's the one.
A friend of mine bought it. Yeah, so I was
and
playing
then
Hell of Save the World.
Friends. Yeah, we was playing Save the World, and then like the Battle Royale thing happened. It's like this is it.
Edition. The people who actually bought that Founders Edition, there should be like a special thing for them always.
I think
really
they
should.
got something
There
out of
should
it,
be.
right?
I mean, I still get rewards. I still get Founders rewards anytime I go into Save the World, just to check in daily. I still get stuff. I still get stuff.
Okay.
There should be something that separates you from everyone else. Like I was a founder. Like, and they should recognize those people. That would be pretty cool.
Anyone have anything else to say about this topic? Because to me, it's not that it's not a nothing burger. It's just that Zero said it best. Companies have been high on COVID money, and we're now going back to normal.
It's definitely not a nothing burger because if we just keep seeing subscribers go down and down, then it's
Here's the thing.
That free to play. It says that free to play is taking over. That people really don't care anymore for the free games that PlayStation is giving out either, and that they're
they do because they're buying.
PlayStation Plus is continuing.
They're old ass games, bro. They're not giving out anything quality. They're old ass fucking games.
Dude, PlayStation Plus is giving more content than PlayStation than Xbox.
They're giving games I already fucking have. Like it's not. It doesn't matter. I get zero value from that.
It doesn't matter though. It's still better than what Xbox is giving.
Do the customers care? That is the argument, because if PlayStation sees that the customers don't care about the quality of the game, then they're gonna stop paying for those licenses because it doesn't make sense. It's not a driver of sales. So it
Microsoft,
doesn't matter.
what's its name?
It doesn't matter if the consumer base isn't receptive
When
to those titles.
Microsoft have yet to kill games with code, and they are giving you games that is literally from the garbage bin. That's how bad it is.
Xbox essentially killed Xbox Live Gold. Like Xbox Live Gold is not really a thing anymore. It's a remnant.
It is still a
Very
thing.
few people are using it. Like, so, I mean, yes, they haven't quote unquote killed it, but they've essentially killed Xbox Live Gold. Like,
Without killing it. So we will see. Both companies are not doing great when it comes to Christian service, but yeah, no. I have been on record saying that PlayStation
doing well when it comes to subscription service.
No, even they
well.
don't, because we just report
They
numbers.
said they didn't. They said they didn't reach their goal.
Yes, they
don't.
don't.
They
didn't.
things.
They didn't reach by goal by.
Doing well are two different
They
things.
didn't reach by goal by 70+%. We didn't cover this for a few months.
That doesn't mean that they're not doing well.
That means they're doing abysmal.
It does not. It just means that they didn't hit their target.
If your target is, let's say, 2 million and you hit 30,000, no, not 30. Less than 1 million. Then that's still 70%.
And you just didn't hit your growth goal. It doesn't mean that you're doing abysmal, right? Like, PlayStation is losing subscribers. Xbox isn't reporting a loss in subscribers.
No, because they're not reporting numbers. They're not reporting numbers. Why do you think that?
They are reporting Game Pass.
No, they are not. Here, Phil, she asked him. She asked Phil Spencer, what's their numbers? He gave us the old numbers. She asked him, can you give us the new numbers?
We literally just got the numbers because of the whole Brazil and all this Activision stuff. We literally just got the numbers.
Literally asked.
Talking about it.
She literally, it's in the interview, and Zero covered it. She asked him, can you give us an updated number? He laughed and told her, no, he can't. He didn't tell her, no, we don't have updated number. He didn't give her the number. No.
I guess my question is if
he said he can't, but why?
Well, but not even that. If at least based on how Pharaoh's presenting it, if the numbers from Brazil just came out like about 2 months ago, then what? Then we got a 2-month update.
But would you then not say that there are no new numbers? These are the numbers that we reported. But instead he said.
But does it matter? Do you really think in 2 months anything that drastic would have changed?
Yeah,
nope. The numbers aren't going to change until the Activision deal is done. That is what's going to drive the numbers, and they're going to celebrate their Activision deal by announcing those numbers. Like, they're not going to prematurely do.
Like I just like it's even like it's like how many PlayStation subscribers lost in 2 months? Like probably not a whole lot. Like it's not a notable amount of subscribers.
Like it'll come out
not in 2 months. They didn't lose. If you lose 2 million in 2 months, you have a major problem.
Oh yeah,
they probably lost 2 million across a long period of time.
Across the period, yeah, across the period.
So like 2 months isn't a reasonable measure of anything for like these companies. Like it's nothing. Like nothing happens in 2 months.
Okay, gotcha. I'm gonna add one final topic very quick because we started late, so and it's not even 5 o'clock my time. So with the recent, hey Viper, you here? Cause he is with me, eminent about this one. I'm curious you would participate in this conversation. If you're here, let me know in the chat. So me and Viper and Nate, we're having a conversation, and we're strictly talking about Final Fantasy 16 and how it no longer have the identity of Final Fantasy because it's not a turn-based game. I'm curious, do you guys see that Final Fantasy lost its identity or no? And if so, do you think do you think Square Enix is messing up with this one? Cause so far from the gameplay, this seems to be a Devil May Cry game. And I'll go even further. When the very first trailer or teaser or showcase for what we call it Square Enix engine was showcased, people thought that was a Final Fantasy game. When Forspoken was first revealed, people thought that was a Final Fantasy game. What I'm trying to say is, if you added a few summons in Forspoken and slapped the name Final Fantasy, people would believe that.
No,
I
Final Fantasy. So here's the thing. Forspoken is focused on one person. You don't have a party. Final Fantasy, there's always a party. You're always a group
no.
of particular people. You are always a group of particular people fighting a great evil. That is the Final Fantasy formula. That's what it is.
With this one,
And
you're
and
not.
you also deal with your relationships with your party and things like that. If you tell me that there's no relationships in Final Fantasy 16, I got a bridge. I got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you, bro. It is.
Final Fantasy
There's
16, and apparently you're not gonna have party members.
at all.
So
So
far that I
you are
have,
fighting 100% solo.
Apparently from who?
I don't believe that. I don't believe. There's never
sorry, look it up.
no. I don't. I do not believe that.
From what I can tell, at least of June, Final Fantasy will have party members be controlling them. She'll have party
Yeah,
members.
you don't have to control them, but you didn't really control party members in 15. You controlled Noctis.
No,
Yeah.
no.
You did.
You didn't control. You don't really control party
No,
members
with
in Final
16 you
Fantasy
could
VII
control
Remake.
everyone.
You just you switch between who you want to play as.
Yeah, with 16 you with 15 you could control everyone.
Yeah. I mean, either I don't control it. I don't think has never been one specifically a Final Fantasy trait. That's a JRPG thing, but like that, I don't think that makes it a Final Fantasy or not. Personally, like Final Fantasy is an anthology series, which
It is.
means anthologies always have room to reinvent and change themselves. So like it
Yep.
is Final. I think it is.
But
it is Final Fantasy.
there's always like a common thread, like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's always something that you go back to. There's always a fucking crystal, there's always a fucking summon, there's a party, and there's a big bad. Like there's always like these are things that are like just part of the experience. Now how they give that to you is different from game to game, but generally that's what it is.
I'm of the belief and innate and vital of that the identity of Final Fantasy is turn-based.
The only way they can fuck this up, if there's no Sid in this
Oh.
game, it's not a Final Fantasy game.
Which what?
Y'all
If-
too hard on turn-based because turn-based was a symptom of a lack of ability to develop, other battle systems in previous time periods. Like it's just like the type of battle systems that they have now were totally impossible 20 years ago. Like let the JRP genre evolve. It's allowed to evolve. It's not.
It's not
It's
evolved.
not losing
It's not.
losing its identity. It's
It
just
you
an
are
evolving genre.
you are absolutely losing identity because your gameplay is looking literally like a Devil May Cry game. If I wanna play a Devil May Cry game, I would go play Devil May Cry game. I don't wanna play Devil May Cry game in a Final Fantasy jacket.
You're crying because turn based is going away.
Yeah,
But it's just the artist delivering their vision of how they want their game to look. Like the ability to have games deliver in that fashion was just not available a long time ago. So they gave you turn based as an option, and then they said, well, we still want to show how powerful these characters are. So how can we do that? Well, we'll create these limit breaks that after every so many attacks, you're able to deliver this special move that really shows off how cool and powerful your character is. Like that was
Do,
like the
do you
reasoning behind that.
do you
Like
think
it
that
was
if
like
Pokemon didn't have turn-based battles, Pokemon would lose its identity?
Mm,
I don't.
I mean, Arceus
No,
kind of
I was
kind of
specifically
come
asking
come
Omar
close.
specifically.
Yeah,
It's like, do you think
Arceus kind of comes close to breaking that.
yeah, but like it is like it is a Pokemon game. There is no
Yeah.
if ands or buts about it. Like, do you think if Pokemon had real time battles, if for lack of a better time, let's say it was similar to Pokken, do you think Pokemon would have lose its identity?
I'm thinking
No, because
about it.
Pokemon is about collecting monsters.
Let me do it even
They're
better.
still doing that.
Do you think that Pokemon Snap proves that Pokemon has lost its identity?
But the difference, no, because Pokemon Snap is what you call it, a side game. It's not one of the main.
It's still a Pokemon game though. You're
Yeah, but it's
collecting
not one
pictures
of
of
the
Pokemon.
main.
You're still collecting monsters.
Yeah, but it's not one of the main. Like if you again, if you titled it Final Fantasy the Realm Reborn or whatsoever, like we have it, Final Fantasy Crystals and all that jazz. That's a Final Fantasy. That's okay. That's a side game, no problem. But your
Crystal
main game,
Chronicles isn't a side game though.
But you've
It's
seen the evolution of Final
it's a game.
Fantasy's battle system since Final Fantasy 12. It's always been going in this direction
yeah,
as the
and
technology has improved. It's
and
not that it's
13,
lost its
13,
identity.
13 was
They
horrible. 13 was horrible. 12,
Do,
14.
do you think 14 is not a is not a Final Fantasy game?
You
I
can
never.
argue whether
Not
the game
turn-based.
is a horrible
14
story.
is
Like, if
a
the game
lie.
is horrible, it's not because of the battle system.
No,
It's because it's a
but
horrible Final Fantasy game.
but 14 is a mainline game. It
Yep.
is
And it's
online.
not
It is an
turn-based.
MMO, but it's not a turn-based game. Do you think that 14 is a Final Fantasy game?
I haven't played it, but again, it's an MMO. How are you gonna make MMO turn-based?
Regardless of how you do anything,
It's a mainline game. It's not a side
Yeah,
game. It is
I
a
don't count
I'm not.
numbered title.
My question, and I'm not trying to jump on you. I'm just asking.
Yeah, no,
like, I'm
no,
trying
we
to figure
have a
out where you
conversation.
fall on your
yeah,
line about what makes a Final Fantasy a Final Fantasy,
Yeah.
regardless of the fact that it's an MMO. You still consider it a Final Fantasy game.
No, I really don't, because it's an MMO. It's an MMO, and it's a main line because it's called for 14. But remember, this used to be called 10 or 11. 11, sorry.
But
11.
it was always a mainline game,
Yeah, it
regardless
was a
of what it used to
mainline
be.
game. But
11 was a mainline game, and that was a
Used to be
hella
called
MMO.
11. They made a new MMO. It's
Yeah.
not. They didn't
So it's an
rebrand
MMO,
11 as
but-
14.
But that's what I'm trying to explain. After 12, the franchise has been going downhill. Again, I never played 14, so I can't talk about 14. But I did play 13, and 13 was horrible. And I
Yeah,
played
but the thing is,
15,
13
and
wasn't horrible because of the battle system. It was horrible.
Yeah, I would say it was not
because
because
of the Final Fantasy game.
yeah, the story sucked, the characters sucked, the summons sucked.
Like,
The battle system was fine. Like, I can't even say the battle system was bad. Everything else about that game sucked.
the battle
yeah, it
system.
wasn't the battle system. It was that it was a bad Final Fantasy game.
Same with
battle
15.
system- The battle
15.
system was okay. It was still semi-turn based. But with 15, we're losing that completely. And 15 was horrible. I didn't enjoy the combat in 15. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't enjoy the combat in 15.
I enjoyed Noctis's ability to, do the whole teleportation thing. I enjoyed
I guess
it.
I'm curious with everything
That-
that Final Fantasy is and has been for like over a decade now.
Yeah.
Do
and
you
I've
really
been-
see turn-based being like the one thing that always defines a Final Fantasy?
Yeah.
Not like the
It's
word,
not
not the story that they're
JRPG,
telling,
it's
not the chocobos, not Sid, not Moogle, like just how you battle. Because do you feel that same way like about all JRPGs that started off as turn-based?
Mm,
Like so, like any JRPG that's moved away from that would in itself lose its identity. Like if Dragon Quest decided to go to sort of active time battles, is that a sort of losing its identity? Even though like Dragon Quest is like has a very specific aesthetic, style, and everything built around it, that you can sort of always know this is a Dragon Quest game, except it's just not turn-based anymore. Or like I said, Pokemon is back. If I just jump back to Pokemon, because that has always been turn-based as well. If you take turn-based away from Pokemon, is it not a Pokemon game anymore?
It just doesn't feel like it.
So Arceus has a whole bunch
If
of
we're
non-turn based
keeping it
moments. It's still a
100%,
Pokemon game.
the JRPG was a dead genre, and it was about to be like completely closed casket until they started shifting to more action RPG elements. The action RPG elements revived the JRPGs as a genre. Western RPGs were taking over. Like JRPGs were like people were tired of the grind, and
You
like JRPGs were kind of going
you
away, and then they
you
started
can make
introducing
you
these
can make
action
a JR,
RPG elements, and we started seeing the growth in JRPG sales again. And JRPGs have become more popular as they've added more action RPG elements. So it's
you
like you need
can you can make a JRPG without the need of grind. Or a matter of fact, you can actually make grind fun. You can make it twice as fast. You can choose to give more XP, or you can do what you call it Pokemon does, especially with Pokemon Sword and Shield. How you give so much XP, you give a shit ton of XP when you do raids, and that's gonna prevent grind. Like I
But
have
I,
always said it, grind is awful. Forced grind is awful. There should be a way around it. What you wanna say, Zero?
I mean, I don't know if grind is the thing that matters, because like grinding, that is what it is. But like I sort of lean towards Pharaoh, just the idea of like I look at Persona, which like is also a turn-based RPG, but what makes a Persona game is like the sort of relationship developing that you can do within the game. Like that's what makes it what it is. Like you take that away from Persona, and yeah, you just got a basic JRPG. Like it's not anything. You take away turn-based attacks, I don't think that takes away anything from what Persona is, because that game is very specifically about like these relationships and how you build them and how you make them. You know, I just
never.
I got you. It's just I think it's because the genre JRPG, turn-based JRPG, triple A is dying. That's why I'm feeling this way.
well, and I think Pharaoh and I have talked about this before. One can argue it was never that big of a AAA space to begin with. It like I of the big dogs, it's just what
Usually
Square.
Western RPGs get the AAA treatment consistently. JRPGs do not consistently get the
I,
AAA treatment.
I would say I think it's just Final Fantasy for the most part. I guess maybe Dragon Quest, but I don't know if I'd count it as a AAA game.
No, Dragon Quest is definitely AA. They don't do no voice acting. The main character
Yeah.
doesn't even have a fucking name. Like, no.
No, you want
And I like
triple
Dragon
A.
Quest.
You have Final Fantasy. You have
Final
what
Fantasy.
And
Persona.
maybe Pokemon, but like
Persona.
I
Pokemon.
think Persona might be AAA now. I don't think like Persona 1, 2, and 3 were like
Four,
AAA games.
5
4
was.
might have become it in 5, but like that series never rested its laurels on that.
I think Persona 5 was AAA until Royal.
And yeah, for at least from what I understand, like Royal is quintessential version of that game. But like its counterpart, Shin Megami, I still don't think that's
That's a
a
double A.
AAA.
I
Yeah,
played what you call it, Soul Hacker 2. That's an absolutely double A.
maybe Yakuza, like a dragon. I don't
Um,
know.
that is triple A.
Like, maybe. I don't like
You got three.
JRPGs have always been like beloved, but like I've never found them to be like triple the AAA experience, if you quote unquote, right? Like at the same time when when they exist along at the of their eras, when they exist along games like God of War 2 or Uncharted 2, those are AAA games, or Halo or the first Gears. Those are AAA games. And then whatever JRPGs came out during that time, like they were good games. Right? Like Star Ocean was out. I think it was Star Ocean 4. That was not a AAA game. And yeah, Farrell just said like, and then Western RPGs, so Mass Effect and The Witcher started popping up, and I think JRPGs needed to do something to like survive, man. Like there will always be a small handful of like enthusiasts, but like even Kofi's favorite thing, Trials or the Tales series, like not most people on this podcast haven't played that game or any of the games in the series, and there's a ton of games in that series, and we're all pretty big JRPG fans. So it's like they exist in their own little bubbles, and there's always the big dogs, like, and it's just mostly Final Fantasy. And everybody else just sort of chugs along, but like I don't think the turn base is the thing. I don't think that games like Deltarune or Undertale can exist if it just needs to be like turn-based, because no one cares that those two games are turn-based. That is not the point of those games. That is not what makes those games interesting. I think Final Fantasy is the promise of what we always wanted anyway. Like when we saw those cutscenes, when we see Sephiroth versus Cloud, when we see the opening to Final Fantasy VIII with Squall versus, I don't remember, Slifer.
Disc 1 for Final Fantasy VIII is so epic. Like,
yeah, like that's the stuff we wanted to see, and like I think they're finally sort of giving it to us. And it's, to me, 16 is probably closer to a Final Fantasy game than like the last 4 Final Fantasy games we've gotten, because it is full of medieval mumbo jumbo about kingdoms and crystals and protect this and summons, or what are they called? Aethers, I think.
Aeon.
Yeah, Aiden's like that feels like, yeah, like if I were to come in blind and you were to show me this, like this feels like Final Fantasy game, because it was a bunch of nonsense. And once I see that big yellow bird show up, I'm like, yeah, this is a Final Fantasy game. So I get it. Like it's different, but I think different can be good. And I think we have to figure out a way to like push that genre forward, because if Pharaoh's right, like that genre wasn't moving forward and people were eating their lunch. Like The Witcher 3 came and blew it everywhere.
Can you come to Final Fantasy, like what, 12 is the last one that really was like quote unquote turn based, but even that had action RPG elements. You could still run around and
to be specific,
time, and
13 was the last, because 13 had still the turn-based aspect to it.
Yeah, and like 12 was weird because like you could just sit the controller down and it would play itself.
Yeah with the gambit system.
Yeah.
Action RPG elements, like they was like, we're gonna action RPG turn-based. Like they didn't want to fully commit yet, so they just did a mix.
Anyone have anything else to say about this topic? Nope. Then
I'm still excited for it. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. I am. How should I say? I am iffy about it because I need a demo. I need to see how it plays. I need to see how you interact with your quote-unquote party members and all that. I need a breakdown of this game, and we've yet to get that. And apparently, so a few things before we go. This game is apparently 95% done, and it's timed exclusive. We already knew that for PlayStation 5 for 6 months, and after that, I'm pretty sure it's gonna go to PC. And after that, we will see when it will go to Xbox. But
go to Xbox till like 2025 at the earliest.
Yeah, something of that ilk, yeah. But
my daughter will be graduating college by the time I play that fucking game on Xbox.
And also Final Fantasy, what you call it, uh, Rebirth is coming. Well, it have a rumored date that is next year in November, or was it December?
We already said that, I think.
December
I believe so.
this year or next year?
Next year.
Next year.
We know
Okay.
December of this
Yeah,
year.
I read talk when they first announced it. It was too good to be true that they're gonna, release it so early. No wonder that they said. They literally said, "Yeah, no, I would not be surprised if that game gets delayed even." But we will see. But that's about it. Thank you all for coming through. Let's get to our outros. Farah, where people can find you?
You can find me on Twitter at EarlBazard and anywhere you like to watch streamers at the Land of Errol.
Gotcha. Jubei, where people can find you?
Yeah, sir. You can find me at Jubei X Sensei on gaming platforms. Jubei Sensei everywhere else except Twitter. That'll be Ambu Smoke Kage, aka Big Chungus, that guy. Um, yeah. Find my music on Spotify and anywhere else you can get music under Jubei Jones. Um, I'm about to hop into God of War once this podcast is done. I'm gonna hop on to this Halo Winter update tomorrow since I'm working from home because election is considered a holiday for my job. So yeah,
Vote.
I already did. Make sure y'all go out and vote these evil people out of office if you're out here in the U.S. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Protect yourselves.
absolutely. As for me, people can find me @carb_job on Twitter and Gameplayer every Friday 5 p.m. at the same time, and Anime Squad every Friday is for Anime Squad and Gameplayer every Saturday. It's going to be, yeah. I'm gonna get back to Uncharted and also listening to true crime stories. And also, feel free. If you can, go ahead and tweet Dante. Wish him speedy recovery. We need him back. And with that being said, Zero, where people can find you, and more importantly, where people can find us.
Well, as always, guys, it's an absolute pleasure. You can find me, of course, zero.exe or 0x3, pretty much. I will be playing Deal Field until Wednesday, and then it's all God of War all the time, with occasional Overwatch and Apex breaks until those games are finished. But more importantly, man, you can always find us, my wonderful, wonderful podcast mates or stream mates. Podcast stream, live stream. I don't know what you call like your people who are on your podcast with.
We exist. Call us
Yeah,
we exist.
people who exist
Precisely.
in space to me. Please check them all out. Omar with Game Slayer, Anime Squad, Fridays and Saturdays, Jubei, Day, I don't even know, 50, that Big Chungus still isn't in multiverses, but I'm still holding out hope.
Yeah,
There
that's
were
weird.
rumors that he was supposed to be coming, so like I'm waiting. Shazam just dropped. I mean, Black Adam just dropped. So like I'm holding out. This game will do it. I promise them. But check out his music. Give him a listen to. It's pretty excellent. So like, and if, you should always be on the lookout for new music. Don't listen to us on the radio. That stuff sucks. Um, Pharaoh has not been. Have you been streaming for a while anyway, Madden? Maybe not. So that's perfectly fine. And of course, just a big shout out to Kofi, and Dante Crisis. Dante, hope you feel better, good sir. Hopefully we'll see you next week. And as always, guys, we really do appreciate you. Please give us a listen, a like everywhere you listen to your favorite podcast, Vitamin G podcast, because you literally could be doing anything, but you decided to listen to us. So we will always appreciate that. And thank you.
And with that being said, keep it gaming. We're
Oh.
out of here. Oh, we want to say you back? You want to say
Also,
something?
if you look at the description of this podcast, the video, you can actually see a lot of our links where our stuff is. It's all there.
Cool,
I've
cool,
updated all
cool.
those links. All the iTunes, Google, Spotify, Amazon, you name it, it's there.
Cool, cool, cool. Thank you for doing so. And we are out of here.